Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
I guess we get to dive straight into the draft, man, and see where we're happy, where we're sad, where we're pissed off.
I think you are pissed off. That's what I got out of your texts and tweets and stuff. I got the feeling that you were pissed off at the whole thing.
I don't know. That might be too strong.
Okay.
I hope we get to bring Aaron on because Aaron has a similar opinion to me. It's not so much that I want him to back up my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's just that it was good to hear. I felt like I was in such the minority that it was cool to hear someone else just with a similar view. He may come at it from a different perspective. I know he wanted to come on, so I hope we can get him.
He will be on in about 45 past the hour.
Good. The thing is, like, I heard the call for, how do you pronounce the guy's name? Do we call him, does it starts with a V, but maybe it's pronounced with a B? Is that right?
No, Bayless.
It is Bayless. I thought I heard people calling him Bayless.
No.
Like Skip Bayless. Okay, so yeah. Bayless, yeah. I heard his phone call with the coach, Eberflus, and he was so emotional that made me feel like a real motherfucker for like being upset about his draft pick. But even then, it wasn't so much personally toward him, even though I pointed out that he felt like sort of a gimmick. And that's the thing that, Ryan Poles said last week in his press conference that he wasn't looking for. So I thought this feels like a Ryan Pace pick. But the reason that I had a little bit of trepidation with that pick, or hesitancy, or reticence, I was reticent, whatever analogy you want to use, is because I felt like the number one problem was the offensive line. It's been the number one problem since like our Super Bowl team of 2006. Every era since then, the offensive line has fucking sucked. That and the position of safety. So I was not upset, unlike a lot of people, that the second pick was a safety, because I thought, man, we've been needing to address this for almost 20 years, the position of safety. But in the first pick, I get it. Everyone said, wow, he's still available. He's there. So go ahead and get that corner. We need corner help. So I thought, well, the third pick has to be a lineman then. Has to be. Because that's what we need more than anything. But I get like, ooh, you took a corner that wasn't supposed to still be available. So you had to take him. Okay, we need a safety too. Okay, so now it's got to be a lineman, right? Wrong. Now it's a wide receiver that probably won't even start. Now, I want him to start. I want him to make me buy his fucking jersey. But I wish him well. But I just felt like we should have started and on the line. I know some people are going to say, well, you can't fix everything in one draft, and 2022 doesn't matter. And I take umbrage with all of that. Your number one problem is your line. Please interrupt me and tell me where I'm wrong.
Well, you're not wrong. It's your opinion, so you're definitely not wrong. Somebody in the chat room, Nomad, asked, well, ask Dan if he knows who Velus Jones was before the draft. And Dan has always said, I don't follow college football. I don't know the draft and so forth. So he was just offering up a gut reaction based on his history. And I'm explaining this for you, Dan.
No, you're right. Everything you're saying is correct.
Based on your history and your relationship with the Bears, you see where things have gone wrong in the past. And you're concerned that history may be repeating itself. I totally get it. But I'm also, I get angry, not at you, but just at the atmosphere of it all. By the time Sunday rolled along, I was just so tired of the negativity, so tired of people on social media being the experts. I would have picked this one. I would have been saying, I've been saying this all along. And it's like, guys, can't you just evaluate, go to work on finding out who these players are, learning more about Poles and his principle, learning more about what transpired in the draft that forced Ryan Poles to make these choices. So, for instance, a great example of that was offered by Brad Biggs. Brad Biggs was on WSCR, and he was asked, why wasn't Fields given any help? Here's his response.
You're looking at help for Justin Fields. Well, you had 9 offensive linemen going round 1, and then 7 wide receivers had come off the board before the Bears were up at 39 overall. You had 6 go in the top 18 picks, and then Green Bay was one of those teams that aggressively traded up to the top of round 2 to get Christian Watson. So you want to help your quarterback out there. You're looking at your pick of the 10th offensive lineman or the 8th wide receiver. So I think they had to play to the strength of the board.
So that's exactly what happened. I went back and looked. The 6, in terms of guys who were drafted who play the offensive line or the wide receiver position, 15 of them in the first round. Carolina, Ikanu. The Giants with Neal. The Falcons with London, Drake London, the wide receiver. Charlie Cross, the offensive lineman to the Seahawks. Garrett Wilson, the receiver to the Jets. Olave, the receiver to the Saints. James Williams, the receiver to the Lions. Kenyon Green, the offensive lineman to Texas. Now, at this point, we're at 15th, which is about the middle of the draft. Jahan Dotson, the very next pick, went to Washington. Zion Johnson at 17, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And 19 were all offensive linemen or wide receivers. At 24, Tyler Smith. A lot of people thought he was going to fall to the second round and he would have been there for the grabbing for the Chicago Bears. So many people love Tyler Smith, but no, he was picked at 24. At 25, the Ravens picked Tyler Lindenbaum. At 29, Cole Strange, who a lot of people thought the Bears maybe could find at 71. He's picked at 29 by the Patriots. And then in round 2, the Packers trade up to get Christian Watson with the second pick of round 2. And then with the 11th pick of round 2, Wendell Robinson, the scat back type receiver out of Kentucky, goes to the Giants. And then John Mechie goes at number 12. So by then, that board that Ryan Poles had created, I bet you that out of these 16, 17, 18 players, I bet you that 12, 13, 14 were maybe not 14, but around 12 were rated above the second, the pick they got with their first pick in the second round. And so the board was devastated by the time Ryan Poles got along. So he had to stick to this board. And Dan, as you said, this safety position has been a wreck. When we finally got it right with Eddie Jackson and Adrian Amos, Pace lets Amos go. And then Eddie Jackson, of course, the loss of Vic Fangio.
He got paid.
He got paid. And the loss of Vic Fangio and Adrian Amos affected his play. He hasn't played at all since 2018. So they did the right thing in going corner and safety. I do think. And then
I can't take exception to either one of those moves. I agree with what you're saying, but if I could just give you an analogy.
Sure.
And like the guy in the chat room, he's right. I don't watch college ball, so I didn't know that kid. And I don't pretend, I'm not pretentious about that. I'm not a college football fan. I see some games, I don't give a fuck. I mean, honestly. But okay, if I told you I had a problem with my roof and we were going to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever store that, you get your stuff with, and we get there and we say, oh man, but I wanted this kind of material. And apparently it's sold out, COVID, whatever. They couldn't get the shit in.
Okay.
Would I suddenly divert my money to maybe, well, let me go ahead and just buy some shit to repair my privacy fence then? Maybe I'll go ahead and start painting that. But I'm ignoring the fact that I went there for my roof. And even if I couldn't get the materials that I needed, I still needed to get some shit to help my roof. Mm-hmm. So I hope that analogy is somewhat applicable in conveying that I'm saying that the line is my roof. The line is protecting my shit. And my shit in this situation is Justin Fields. It's David Montgomery or whoever running backs that we drafted for. It seems like we have 13 running backs now, which is, again, why did we take it back there? Who the fuck knows? But I will say that Ryan Poles deserves the benefit of the doubt. I'm just telling you what I felt, and I'm just a guy. He's way more qualified than me. But going into it, I thought our number one problem was that line. But he's the GM. I'm going to support him, and I'm still going to be positive going into the season. I still do not concede the fact that we're going to be shitty. I don't think so. The schedule is going to be much easier. Our quarterback is going to be better. We have a shot of winning this division, and maybe I'm just a fool.
No, I don't think you're a fool at all. I think, I think that we all rush to judgment, and, sometimes we need to kind of take a little bit step back. And I simply feel that we have to give Ryan Poles the benefit of the doubt, because this is his first draft. Because, when he explained the process of how he sat down with the entire scouts team and they had anonymous, yay or nay votes on certain players, and then they all worked together to put their board position by position and did it horizontally. Who's the number one best player? Who's the number two, and so forth. They went through all of this, and all of these scouts, spent hours and hours and hours on the road, talking to players, talking to the family of players, talking to teachers and coaches and friends and so forth, and accumulating all of this knowledge. I want to give all of those people the benefit of the doubt that they may have gotten it right, even though certain players that I liked better than Velus Jones were picked after Velus Jones was picked by the Bears. Does it make me angry that we didn't get Tolbert, the wide receiver I fell in love with over a month ago? It does. Of course it does. But Velus Jones, I understand within the scheme of things why they wanted him. He is, that kind of special gadget player with outstanding speed. He runs a 4.31, where, as Ryan Poles said, wherever he lines up, the defense is going to be accounting for him, because that's what speed does. You know it, Dan. Willie Gault, right? What did he do for the Chicago Bears? He never had put up sensational stats, but just his presence.
When Jim was quarterback, he was going deep to Willie.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He was our guy that took the top off the safety.
Exactly. And he was necessary. I remember back then, I was in my 20s, mid-20s, and people were critical of Willie. Why doesn't he catch more passes? Why doesn't he score more touchdowns? And I'm like, dude, it's just his presence on the field is worth points. So I just feel like, let's hold off judgment. Let's take a look at these players. Let's learn more about these players. And maybe they feel like, hey, Borum and Jenkins are pretty damn good. We have promise. We feel that they have promise. Cody Whitehair is stable. And so there's a couple of other guys that could be available via free agency or via trade and so forth. The roster is far from finalized yet. So
we still have to get a right guard.
Mm-hmm. You still have to get a right guard. Absolutely. Let me play another soundbite from radio shows that I heard. This is, which one is this one? This is, again, asking the question, was Justin Fields a priority in this draft or not? And I forgot who was talking on this one. It's the Dan Bernstein Show with Adam Hogue.
I also like the idea of not kowtowing to this narrative of do whatever you can do to get everybody for Justin Fields, protect him, find him targets, maximize him, where it seems like they've got bigger things to do. And it's not a slap at Justin Fields at all. It is Ryan Poles saying this team is very far away. They have a lot of needs. The last thing they can try to do right now is try to retrofit this roster, any roster, to this kid. And if he wants to learn and be good and be better and justify a lot of our optimism, that's cool. But it tells me my big takeaway was Poles knows how far away the Bears are.
Well, there's a very small admission from him, too, that almost kind of got overlooked on Friday night, I thought, where he talked about this, and he said in there, he goes, I know that we're not going to be able to fix everything in 1 year. And we all know that, but just to hear the GM actually say it out loud was refreshing, too. And so he gets it. So
what do you think about what was just said there by Dan Bernstein in particular, that, perhaps there's so many other problems in this team that fixing some of those problems was a priority over the offensive line?
This is the same guy that a month ago or 2 months ago had that rant about I'm hurt, I'm playing, I can't run full speed and all that we all thought, like, where's this gentleman's credibility at?
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of feel that same way. I take umbrage, but maybe I'm the meat-headed fan that says I'm not willing to give this season away, not just because I'm a fan. Cincinnati was just in the Super Bowl and they'd won 4 games the year before.
Mm-hmm.
The 1999 Rams were 4-12, lost their quarterback and suddenly had a new kid come in and he takes them all the way to the Super Bowl and they win it. It happens. I'm not telling you it's going to happen, but it's not as implausible as everyone's like, oh, it's just this foregone conclusion that the Bears are going to suck. Why? We've got the quarterback that we've wanted for fucking ever. The defense shouldn't be horrible. The secondary on paper should be much better now. Our linebackers aren't terrible by any stretch. Quinn's even going to be better at defensive end. He hated playing linebacker. So the defense should at least be comparable to last year, if not better, because they can get stops now on 3rd and long potentially with the secondary. We've got a good running back. Everyone likes Mooney. Everyone tells me Cole Kmet's good. I mean, and they're not going to have the strongest schedule this season. Why can't this team win games this year? No one can tell me other than the fact that they're just negative and it's the Bears. That's it. If this were the Bears and Lions both get that, like, well, it's the Bears or Lions, so they're going to suck. But if we were Minnesota right now with the same roster, they would be picking us to be a wild card team.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I do think that it's a little too early to predict the playoffs for this squad. I really do. I think that with the dramatic amount of changes that this team is employing, there needs time to get cohesion. It's like in that last soundbite, Adam Hogue reminded us that Ryan Poles said we can't fix everything overnight. And so he is letting us fans know this is going to be a little bit of a process. It's going to take 2 or 3 years for us to get
But the
this
number
right.
one problem, other than the line, was addressed in the bald fuck getting fired.
That's right. That's huge. And people who are critical of Justin Fields or any part of the Chicago Bears team should know that the bald fuck was a huge part of the problem. So that's been corrected. And for that, we are grateful to George McCaskey and Bill Polian. George McCaskey went to Bill Polian and said, what's the problem with my team? And Polian said, the bald fuck.
The bald fuck.
Okay, help me find somebody to replace him and the other fuck, the hairy fuck.
I like when I hear Eberflus talk too. It feels like he's really comfortable in who he is. It feels like he's grateful for the opportunity, but he feels like he's ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Matt Nagy just saying all this stuff because like he feels, well, I got the job now. And even though he's not qualified, he's very arrogant as a result of the job.
Mm-hmm.
But most of his stuff felt empty. Like it didn't feel like he had any substance.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like this guy knows what he's doing to me. So that alone, better coaching,
Mm-hmm.
a better secondary, Like, why can't we be hopeful?
Yeah.
Last year's schedule was probably the hardest the Bears have had in, more than a decade on paper.
I agree.
I mean, and it's going to be easier this season. At least it should be. I'm not willing to say that the Bears are going to be terrible. Maybe they will be, and I'll be the dumbass who just follows along because that's my job as a fan. But I just feel like they're going to be better than, at the very least, they're going to be better than last season.
I agree with that, but they might not have a better won and loss record. And Don Burr, if you're here, I think you're here. I think you posted something a little earlier. Log out because I'm going to say something nice about your fucking team. The Detroit Lions are improving themselves, and they should make a leap. I don't, the only thing that can hold them down is that the fuck that they have, the hairy fuck that they have at head coach.
Dan Campbell, isn't his name?
That's his name. And I think that the Packers may not, are going to really suffer with the loss of Devontae Adams. I don't think Christian Watson is anywhere near ready to replace Adams if he ever can. And so that's going to hurt. But the Packers did help themselves on defense. And so I can see them, being a similar team to last year. We'll see. But so the strength of schedule stuff, to me, I never take it very seriously, only because every team is different from year to year. You make all these transactions. The team that was last year isn't what the team next year. So you got to take
I agree
with a grain of salt. The other thing I wanted to mention was there is one important thing when a general manager scouts players and puts his board up and so forth, and this is in relation to what Adam Hogue was saying, is the one thing that we armchair scouts and analysts and so forth don't have privy to is the character reports on these young men who are entering the league. I think it was a really high priority by Ryan Post to change the culture of this team. You see the amount of players that they drafted. They were team captains. A third of these guys were team captains who were just outstanding attitudes. That kid that we picked up, the safety, what's his name, Hicks. Did you see the video that he put out, Dan, where he was like, I'm ready, and starts doing push-ups and stuff? I mean,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'll try to find it during one of our breaks. This guy was just fired up to be coming to the Bears, and this guy might end up replacing Eddie Jackson this year just by attitude alone. And so he's brought into this organization a bunch of players who have a winning I will not stop playing until the end of the echo of the whistle.
Which is antithetical to Eddie Jackson.
Yes, it really, really is. It's antithetical to what the Bears have been for years now. The Green Bay Packers playoff, balls on the ground, nobody's going for it. That kind of stuff just kills me. These guys are professionals. They should be hustling everywhere. Kills me when on baseball a guy doesn't run out a grounder to first base. It kills me when a guy in football doesn't go for a loose ball. It kills me when a hockey player is out for a 45-second shift and isn't skating hard. It kills me when I see basketball players loafing down the court. It just kills me. These guys are being paid to play this game. I was a terrible player, and I tried to make up with it with hustle, just fucking showing people that I want to win. I will do whatever it takes to win. And some of these players don't do that. I think that the Bears are on their way to having a locker room full of Aldo Candias. No, I'm just kidding. Full of guys who have great attitudes, who are leaders and want to win. So
that the player that I'm not just saying this to throw Cincinnati Reds stuff in, but when you were just describing it to me, I thought of Pete Rose. Just a guy that probably isn't the most talented, but he's going to outwork everybody, and that's not a cliche. The dude was fucking sliding to first.
Yes.
Head first, constantly. Always hustling, even in his late 30s.
When I was a kid, he was one of the first superstars I saw play. Charlie Hustle would run to first base on a walk.
After getting walked.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he ran full speed. And that, made an imprint on me. Why aren't all players running to first base on a walk? Why? And baseball just kills me because everybody seems so lazy. Not everybody, but half the players in the league seem so lazy, But in football, there's just no excuse for that kind of stuff. All right, I want to play one other thing here for you that I think is going to really make you angry. It's going to make a lot of fun.
Before you do, I want to ask you a quick question because you're talking about safety, and I just didn't want to get away from it.
Sure.
Did you see that one of the scouts was allegedly fired for the comments you made about the second round, the safety that we picked from Penn State?
Yeah, Tuch was mentioning it to me before we rolled the PhD comment.
He was like poor and desperate.
Poor, hustle, and desperate, I think, or hungry and desperate.
Yeah. It's like, I don't think he meant anything to denigrate him. He was just saying this is his entire livelihood, and the guy gets fired for it.
Yeah, I wonder, if he wasn't also headed out the door, and that just expedited that. I mean, Mark Sadowski, who Greg Gabriel hired when Greg was director of scouting, he was fired yesterday. So 2 or 3 people were fired. One was promoted to co-director of player personnel, along with somebody Poles has brought in from the outside. But yeah, certainly the PhD comment from Chris Prescott, the scout who said that, a lot of people were angry about it, and he was fired rather quickly. So I'm not going to comment on whether it was right or wrong to say that. I do have a feeling that he didn't come up with that out of the blue. I wonder if that's like a scouting term that has been used before, because you want, throughout the history of sports, some of the greatest champions have come from that kind of a background where they were poor and were fighting to get out of the ghetto, to get, and I'm talking about Jewish boxers, and I'm talking about any kind of athlete of any color, any race, any ethnicity. If they came from poor backgrounds, a lot of them, if they had the skills, they were fighting to be the absolute best. And so, a lot of times things that were said in the past that were acceptable in the past are no longer acceptable because things are so, super sensitive. I don't have to get into that with you or any of our listeners, but no. I don't know. I've come to the point here where I double check a lot of things that are coming out of my mouth because I've said some stupid things in the past here on Barroom Network, stupid jokes and stuff that people could probably say, yeah, I don't think you should say that. And, who wants to get into that fucking thing all over again? But people are after us. So,
did you see Bill Murray had that where that movie set got closed down because of his alleged remarks to an actress? And he commented on it. He said, this gives me a lot of time to reflect and learn the things that I used to say that were acceptable that are no longer acceptable, and I have to change with the times. He says, I know I didn't have malice, but people other than me may take it differently, so I have to learn what I can say and what I can't. I thought his responses were genuine as a result of this controversy.
It appeared to be. Cliff Victoria asked if the scout was going to be fired anyway. We don't know that. There have been no reports of that, Cliff, but maybe. I said that maybe he was, so I don't know. But I do want to play this. It's a little long. It's about 4.5 minutes. This is a clip from Mike Florio's show. So damn, prepare yourself.
It's Greg that hates Mike, not me.
Yeah, but you're gonna hate Mike Florio after you hear this. So
okay.
What show is this? The Parkinson Spiegel show played the clip. They comment a little bit on the other end of it, and then I want to hear your thoughts. This is from WSCR Radio.
You hear Florio this morning?
No.
He doubled down.
What did he say? Say something dumb again?
He doubled down. This is the kind of thing, and I got to make sure that you understand that this isn't true. That this is
let me hear
Florio running with something that I do not believe to be true.
Let me hear it.
If they haven't done enough, and we get to football season, and Justin Fields is struggling, is the narrative going to be, well, they didn't do enough to help him, or is it going to be, hey, Justin Fields stinks? And that's what I'm concerned about, that once it's time to play games and we're in a different mindset altogether, we know when football season starts, all the stuff we talked about from February until September kind of goes away, and we focus on the games that are in front of us. And if a guy's playing well, he gets praised. And if he's not playing well, he gets criticized. And there's more pressure and scrutiny of the quarterback than any other position. And I'm just concerned we're going to get to the football season and Fields is going to struggle, and the narrative is going to be, man, they really blew it there. They should fire Ryan Pace again. Not, well, the new regime really hasn't moved heaven and earth to try to get the most out of Justin Fields. And I know that some folks get really triggered when this point is raised, but you got new management now of the football operation. How motivated are they? How determined are they? How committed are they to get the most out of the guys that the last regime brought in? That was my concern last year when they traded up to get Justin Fields. It's like, you better give these guys time to let this guy develop. Otherwise, you get an awkward situation when there's a new regime. And what we're seeing from the new regime so far is they're not as committed to making the team better around the quarterback as some of these other teams are that have young quarterbacks. It's a critical stage of a quarterback's development. The Giants have gone through this with Daniel Jones, the revolving door head coach and offensive coordinator, and now here we are, year 2 of Justin Fields. And other guys have gone through this too, where you get yourself in a bad situation, and those games start coming one after another, like chocolates on Lucy's conveyor belt. And before you know it, you're 3-14, and the label has stuck to you that you're not any good. And there's a new crop of quarterbacks coming in next year. And next year, there's a hell of a lot of great quarterbacks coming in. And sooner or later, you just wash out. That's the challenge. Giving the guy a chance to thrive before the clock runs out, because the clock runs faster than it ever has before.
See, now that's a little funky. That's Florio saying there's going to be this narrative and then, of course, doing the narrative. Absolutely delivering the narrative and saying that they're not doing enough because they don't believe in Justin Fields.
I don't disagree with a lot of what he said. Where I stop short is I do not believe how Ryan Poles attacked free agency in the draft is a referendum on how he already feels about Justin Fields. Florio suggests, and other people have made the point, that if he believed in Fields,
they would have done more.
Would do more to support him immediately. And because they didn't, they're not committed to Fields long term. I don't believe that for a second. I think Fields is what made the job attractive. I think that they brought in Justin Fields to consult over draft picks in the offseason, and he's been attending all of the workouts. Mooney went down and worked with him. Cole Kmet went down and worked with him. I believe that they are committed to Justin Fields as long as he continues to show a desire to be committed to. Now, if the Bears get the 11th pick in the draft and 3 or 4 quarterbacks are off the board, then it won't be a discussion. But I agree with Florio. If they go 3-14 and have a top 3 pick in the draft and they have a shot at Bryce Young, it absolutely will be a conversation. It just will be. Now, if Fields looks good and everything else is terrible, then they'll take a tackle or a receiver or trade down or something like that. But if Fields looks bad and they have a chance to get a top quarterback in next year's class, we'll at least have the debate, fair or otherwise, because that's how it works when you pick in the top 5 in the draft. The only places that have those kind of picks where they don't at least consider taking quarterbacks are where the franchise still fully believes in the quarterback. Jacksonville, no one talked about it because they had Trevor Lawrence. And there was no quarterback worthy of taking number 1 overall this year.
Yeah, absolutely. But also there's full-on conscious admission that Urban Meyer and that entire thing was an absolute disaster. And Trevor Lawrence had no chance last year because of the quality of the roster and the quality of the coaching.
Yeah, but
there should be that same realization here.
What do you think, Dan Aguirre?
Well, Florio can have his opinion. I can't tell him that he's wrong. Maybe those whispers are out there. Maybe from his sources, although Greg would tell us he doesn't have any.
Right.
His sources may be speculating on this about Justin to him. Mm-hmm. I can't say he has no validity to what he's saying. Mm-hmm. But my rebuttal is this. Why is it just immediately what if the Bears go 3-14? I mean, I don't understand why that seems so realistic to so many people. I mean, 3-14. I mean, I know we were that bad in 2016, but for the most part, we've never been that bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's only won 3 games, except in 2016. I do think Fields is going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that there's this conspiracy to not help him. I'm sure Poles, if he were on with us now, would tell us why he drafted that wide receiver versus a lineman there.
Mm-hmm.
It would make it at least justifiable for my position. Like, okay, I see where you're coming from. If he really wanted to tell us why, which he wouldn't, and he shouldn't, I guess. What I'm saying is he doesn't owe us an explanation, but I think if you're extrapolating out that the reason why they're not drafting this is because they're trying to tank, I think that that's a false narrative.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree. This team wants to win. No general manager in the National Football League wants to tank games other than the guy from Miami,
which he is denied.
But I do think that at a certain point in the season, some general manager is going to tell their coaches, or owners tell their coaches, let's start, playing some of the other guys, and I'm not going to hold it against you if we lose. We need to see some of these other guys. Perhaps that happens. But I got to believe that everyone has the competitive fire to want to win a football game, no matter who they're playing, no matter what the draft might look like the following year, no matter what. You only get 17 of these. And so you want to win as many as possible. You don't want your record smeared, because you had to play, backups and to take a look at them. Everybody wants to win. And even when you're forced to play the backups, you're playing to win. You're coaching to win. You're devising a game plan that could upset the first place team if you're playing the first place team or whatever team you're playing. So I'm with you on that. I do think that Florio was a little bit out of bounds. I don't think he recognizes the nuance of the situation. That it's going to take a while, number one. Number two is that the team was helped. If you create a tremendous defense, what helped Mitchell Trubisky the most in 2018? It wasn't anybody on the offense. It was the defense.
And I was going to say Khalil Mack was actually playing like the guy that we traded for.
Yeah. He had an excellent season, and as the season went on, I thought his play dropped off a little bit. I thought there was a little, fatigue going on there. Just like it was almost emblematic. That first game against the Green Bay Packers, Khalil Mack had one of the best first halves in the history of pro football.
And it looked like he was the right pick at the right time.
Yep.
And then to bookend that, what you were just saying, if you go back and look at the stats in our playoff game against the Eagles,
mm-hmm.
he didn't do shit.
Mm-hmm.
No tackles, no sacks, nothing. He may have had one tackle.
Mm-hmm.
He was barely on the stat sheet. And how many times did we say that in 2019, in 2020, and 2021?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he started the year who we thought he was, and we can use Dennis Green if you want to here. He was who we thought he, and then the season ended with who he really was.
Mm-hmm. J2K Larsonet says offense scores points. You know what? Defense scores points too. And that's what Eberflus is going to tell his defense. Get turnovers and then figure out how to get the ball in the end zone. That's the way he coaches defenses. And defenses can give you good field position so that it's easier for the offense to score points. Special teams. This team has improved. The Chicago Bears has improved their special team plays, maybe not at the punter position yet, but with the players who are going to be running down punts and trying to create turnovers and not missing tackles. I think that was another thing that can't be underestimated enough, is that this team, what the defensive players that they chose are known as good tacklers. How many times, Dan, have you and I just been pulling our hair out, me more than you, because I got a lot less of it, with the poor tackling of this team. And
right.
Hopefully that's going to be resolved, So
if I make it out to Chicago this year, are you going to join me? I'm not saying I'm going to go to the Green Bay game, because why waste my trip, right? But if for some reason I was at the Green Bay game, we need to yell as many obscenities as possible at Patrick O'Donnell.
Yes.
You fucking traitor.
That's right. I think you should come for the Green Bay game, because I think you and I, can send a message to Aaron Rodgers. Own this, motherfucker.
I'd probably get kicked out of the game. That's the only person in the world that I would want to heckle the way the Detroit Pistons fans were heckling the Pacers in the 04 Malice at the Palace.
Oh, yes.
Throw beer at him. Fuck him.
Yeah, you and I would be spending the night in a Chicago jail.
Yeah, I'd have a fucking triple I, criminal history.
Well, hopefully in about 5 or 10 minutes, Aaron McCaskey will be joining us. And then as soon as Tooch is ready, he'll be joining us too. Do you want to talk at all about this Olin Kreutz stuff? There's a lot of people in the chat
I don't
room.
know the full story. I know the gist of it. I know, but you can fill in the details for me. Like, who was it he allegedly punched? Do we know why?
Yes. The details, as reported by The Athletic and the Chicago Sun-Times, is that Adam Hogue and another producer at the CHGO studios were talking about Olin's reaction to the Bears draft. And there was video circulating that Olin walked off the set because he was upset the Bears had not selected an offensive lineman in day 2. And
he's smart.
Yeah. And so Adam was saying, I think overall Olin was too critical of the draft. Allegedly, that's when Olin Kreutz walked into that office and overheard that. Words were exchanged, but pretty quickly, I believe, if I remember the account correctly, Olin charged Adam and grabbed
Adam
him.
Hogue?
Adam Hogue, yes.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
That's almost as like that clip we played on the show a couple years ago when Brandon Marshall was trying to fight Carmen DeFalco. So, go on. I had no idea it was at Hogue. That's incredible.
Yeah. And so they fell backwards. I believe Hogue fell backwards, and I don't think he had his hand on his neck for a very long period, but they got up and they started to talk, and Adam was fine. And in fact, Adam said, we should still do our show. We should still do our podcast.
What a pro.
Because they were scheduled to do a show immediately afterwards. But the management at CHGO said, we're calling a meeting here. And when they walked out of the meeting, they chose to fire Olin Kreutz, are the allegations or the reports, as again reported by the
what a fucking pro Adam Hogue is, to be willing to do the show with a man that literally just committed allegedly an act of battery on you.
Yeah, it is. I think a very classy move by Adam, and I think Adam felt like Adam felt like I understand this the attitude that Olin carries, and maybe I spoke out of turn. I don't know what. I'm just speculating here. But
I guess that's why they didn't do a podcast today then, because normally they drop one on Tuesdays, and I was going to just listen to some kind of, I ended up going with the Jason, God, I can never think of his fucking name. You like him. He asks good questions. Leisure.
Jason Leisure.
I was going to listen to while I was brushing my teeth and shaving and that kind of shit, just to have something in the background.
Sure.
And I noticed that Hogan Johns, I hadn't listened to any of their stuff for the draft. They didn't have one today. So I thought, wow, that's kind of weird, but maybe it's because Hogue's trying to let this die down then.
Well, the interesting thing too, another interesting aspect of all this is that Olin, who has been working hard to build a media career here in Chicago, he's got other jobs. NBC Sports Chicago is one of them. He does hits with WSCR, and so
he's on The Score, right? Is that the one?
Yes,
you were referencing. I didn't know they're call letters.
Yeah, SCR. And so, are they going to fire him? And so they've been reached for comment. They have no comment at this point, so they're probably thinking it over. When I listened to the Parkinson Spiegel show on WSCR, both of them felt like they would love to have Olin on and not pay repercussions for this. I think, if Adam Hogue didn't want to file charges, because there was an erroneous report that Adam Hogue, was filing a restraining order on Olin. I think that was a gag. But so if Adam Hogue didn't seek police charges, criminal charges against him, and wanted to do the show immediately afterwards, maybe there's a way to resolve this so that Olin's career in communications is not ruined. So
did he grab his throat allegedly then, and he started to choke him?
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it was, but I don't think it was a choke.
Or he didn't punch him then?
No punch. Just grabbed him by the throat. When was the last time you had a physical altercation with someone, Dan?
I had a guy that was fucking with she wasn't my wife yet, at a concert.
Oh, really?
And I'd forgotten all about this, man. But my friend Jeremy had the video. We were at another concert in 2016, And he's like, you remember that time you fucking slammed that guy? And I was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And he had video, like some crowd surfer. And he said he kept coming over and kicking Marissa. And he had kicked her like 4 times, is what Jeremy said. I had no memory of this, but he had it on his phone. Like he came over us again, and I looked up and I was just like, fuck you, motherfucker. And I pulled him down as he was crowd surfing and pushed him on the ground, which is embarrassing. But I have no memory of that whatsoever. Zero. No memory whatsoever.
So you were told this happened, huh?
No, he's got video of it.
Oh, my God.
He's got video of this. And I was like, bullshit, I don't remember that at all. And I would remember that. And he's got a fucking video of it.
Can I see that video, please?
He's got it. I don't have it.
Hey, if you're listening, what's his name?
Jeremy Vaughn.
Jeremy Vaughn, please. I'll give you $10. Send me that video.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. But no, like I do everything I can. A, I don't want to go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
B, I'm old, so I'll do what I can to avoid fighting at this point. I mean, fuck, I'm in my 40s now. I might blow a knee out or something.
Yeah, don't fight. No need for fighting.
But that's what I was telling you last night in the voice message. I was like, man, Olin, if I'm going to be 42 on Halloween, Olin's got to be damn near 50.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's still out fucking people up, I mean, I know he's a badass, but at some point you think he's got like 6 kids. He's a husband. He's got a media career. He's wealthy.
Yeah.
He's from Hawaii. He's out chilling in the sun.
Yeah.
You figure he at some point would just like kind of his intensity would just, level out or something.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny is yesterday on the Gabriel Talks football show, we were talking about one prospect, who has had a difficult college career with off the field activities and just screwing up. I forgot who the player is. And Greg says, well, if Olin was on the team, he would take care of him quickly. And so I started laughing. I said, yeah, Olin's probably kicking somebody's ass right now. And then about an hour later, we get these reports that Olin, was involved in this altercation. So it could, and I didn't know this. I had forgotten that I said that, and somebody sent me a message and said, "Yeah, just you said that on your show," and then we learned that. So I'm like, "Holy shit!"
And it makes you look like you had inside info when you obviously you didn't.
I did not. I swear, I did not.
Because you wouldn't make that joke otherwise.
No fucking way. No fucking way.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Olin gets to continue his career too. In fact, I told you that kind of guy, maybe he's necessary for your team. Maybe you have to have an enforcer type. But I know in school, in college, I hated assholes like that constantly wanted to show you how tough they were at all time. It always kind of felt fake to me. I just thought, you're on fucking steroids, dude. Like, chill down. So I always hated guys like that. And I heard all those stories about Olin going back to, I didn't hear much about him really when Jerron was coach, but they kind of started around Lovey's tenure where he's like, oh, he's such a badass and he's constantly like putting people in their play. So I sort of didn't like him as much as I should have as a player. And then when he become a media guy, I was like, you know what? He's got a lot of personality, and like, maybe I should have just not listened to all those reports and liked him more.
Yeah.
Because I liked his personality on radio hits better than I ever did as a player, but this sort of backs up who I thought he was,
Yeah, interesting. Hey, Tooch and Aaron are ready to rock and roll. Let's bring them in. There is Aaron. There is Tooch. Let me put a 4-way split.
What's up, gentlemen?
What am I missing here? I am missing.
Am I muted?
Me. You're not muted. We are all here.
If I could set the stage before you all talk.
Can you hear me?
This toward Aaron. I told him this in text the other day, but I don't know if it meant. I wanted to give the context of it. Last year, and again, I love Zimmerman. I'm not calling him out to talk any shit, and he's not here to give his rebuttal. So there's no malice with what I'm about to say. But last season during the draft, I was like wigging out that why don't we get another corner? We need corner help. And he's like, corner help in the 2021. You don't really need that. And I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? He's like, it's all about points, man. We don't even have to worry about the defense. And I was like, you're fucking with me. Like, you can't possibly believe this. And this year it was the same way. He was just like, you don't need offensive linemen. You don't need offensive linemen. Like, is he for real? Like, is he just saying this like get a reaction? He can't possibly. And then he's just like, oh, we're gonna suck anyway. What difference does it make? And I don't believe any of that. I digress, but I was just explaining to Aaron, like, I was like, he can't possibly mean this, right? So
he did. Aaron McCaskey. Do you say McCaskey or Michalski? Oh, your audio is
okay, better.
Yes.
No, it's like McCall with ski at the end. So yeah, McCaskey.
McCaskey, I love it, and I love that beard, man. Every time I see you, I compliment you on your beard because it is such a beautiful thing.
Appreciate that. Put a lot of time and work into it. So
there you go. You have to maintain a beautiful thing like that.
Yeah, I don't have hair up top, so I take care of the hair. I've got a little bit down south.
What does Toots take care of?
Pretty good beard looking, man.
Welcome to the Iowa part of the show.
Yeah, for the Iowa correspondence for Bears Barroom. Yeah, you bet.
Oh man, well, Aaron, I hope that you've been listening to the first.
I've been on the whole time with you guys. Listened to, and Dan pretty much nailed everything because him and I were pretty much lockstep with what we were thinking. I've kind of chilled out a little bit because that's why I just consume Bears media all day, every day. I listen to podcasts and YouTube stuff and articles because especially if I'm upset, I want to get a better perspective. I'm still not happy with how it went down. I didn't get what I thought we should have got when we should have got it. But the more I read, I do understand why we did what we did. I think I knew quarterback, wide receiver, lineman. I wanted lineman and wide receiver, so we picked the quarterback. I was like, okay. I mean, he's good. They didn't think he was going to be there. We got him. And then the safety part, I was like, okay. I mean, I guess like everybody says, we needed safety. Fine. And then with the wide receivers, like, was he the best wide receiver on the board at that point? And it's like we had chances of better wide receivers had we not picked the safety. So it's I'm still frustrated. I don't know how it's going to shake out. But I also know that I don't know anything about college. Same with Dan. I don't know anything about college or scouting or these players coming into it. So I'm just going to have to hope for the best.
Let me interrupt here. Jay Sanders, who has been very critical with his chat comments on the Bears draft, he says CBS graded Bears draft a D. So how do they get that? How do they get that D? Because based on their opinion on the Bears players that were drafted, because I need to know these grades. I think it's coming out more and more in the media is that these grades don't mean jack shit because it's based on CBS's board or on whatever opinion. There has to be some context as to how you're grading these players. And so if they've come up with a great answer to that question, how you're grading, then fine. I'd like to know it. It's all opinion. Exactly. So,
NFL's got us graded an A, NFL.com.
Look at that. You know why?
Because, wait, shit. That was last year.
Kyler Gordon. Well, Kyler Gordon was a first-round pick. And anybody will tell you that Kyler Gordon was headed for the first round of the pick. The fact that he fell that far for the Bears to grab with their first pick in the second round was a miracle. And so we have to be happy about that. The safety, Brisker, is another first-round talent. And how desperately do we need a safety? So just there alone, you picked up two starters with your first two picks, two guys who are probably almost definitely going to be starting game one. So how could it be a D? I don't understand that.
But I've seen quite a bit.
Just a quick question. This is something I think maybe it was Tooch and I. It was somebody and I were texting on this. It could have been Aaron. Hell, it could have been you, Aldo. I don't know. But my question, then I will shut up and I'll let you get back to the draft. But my fear is that maybe Jalen Johnson isn't really that good.
Yeah, we talked about this.
He's just that he's the starter because he's a Bear. Is he a starter if he's on another team? So transition that to the picks, which I like, by the way, the safety and the corner. But are these guys really day one starters, or are they just day one starters because they're on the Bears?
I brought this up in the chat with you and Tooch and Zim. He said something about we got probably out of the 11 picks, we get 2 or 3 starters. And I'm like, is that because they're the best starters Chicago has on the roster, or are they actual quality caliber starters across the league? You know, I'm excited if they're like, if everybody else, you know, people around the league said that's a starter, but are they starting for Chicago because we have a pre-depleted roster still at this point? I guess is my main concern.
I agree with you.
I'm a lover of Jalen Johnson, and yes, he's had some bad moments, some really bad moments. None as worse in Game 17 where he did not tackle the player that was down. Yes, he's been burned a few times, but everything tells me that his career is on the upswing. He's going to become better, and this third year is going to be the ultimate test, because if he doesn't show steady, consistent, high-level play, then, you know, once his contract is up after his 4th year, then he's moving on. But he's more than just a serviceable player. Jalen Johnson is a very good football player. You see all the traits. He's got all the physical tools and how he guards people. He's got smarts, with the exception of a couple of immature things that he said. All reports are is that he's a locker room leader. He speaks up and speaks up for himself and his teammates. So I'm not giving up on Jalen Johnson, and my present estimation of him is that he's worthy of building this team around.
I hope you're right.
Yep.
Go ahead, Tooch.
I guess I got to play devil's advocate here. My favorite position.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely.
My favorite position, Aldo, devil's advocate. I guarantee you that Poles and Eberflus took a look at last year's Bears game tape and said, we got to get off the field on 3rd down on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
Yeah.
We suck. I mean, I'm sure Danny will agree. Every text during the Bears game I got was, why don't we cover anybody in the secondary? How come 3rd and long?
3rd and 20. It could be
3rd and 20.
And they're going to give up a 1st down.
Big plays, you bet. You can count on it.
Paul saw 2 guys that could stop that immediately. I kind of like the first 2 picks, man. I gotta tell you, the 3rd pick, I don't have a problem with either, man. They're picking guys that are also good special teams players. Mm-hmm. I mean, none of these guys have played a single down in the NFL, but like we're giving them a draft grade of D. I don't see how that's possible. We don't know who the top wide receiver on the board was.
Of the articles I see, based that, which was one of Dan and I's main complaints, on the fact that it doesn't look like they did a whole heck of a lot to help Justin Fields out, but they got offensive linemen and a running back, and they got a wide receiver fine, but they got him later in the draft. And so it doesn't seem like I said to Dan and I, especially, but also to the media at large, it doesn't seem like they made him a priority. Mm-hmm. Which I'm still, that was my main thing. And when I was bitching in the text chat group, I was like, oh, cool. You know, a safety, fine. Could have been an offensive lineman. And then was the 2 wide receivers, Pickens and Pierce. They're like, oh, they're gone. Okay, now we get Velus Jr., which I don't know anybody college-wise anyways, but I know those 2 names for receivers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that I think a lot of the poorer grades coming in at season, these are almost all of them that I've mentioned or read anyhow mentioned. It's like, well, they didn't set Fields up for success, or it doesn't seem like they've made him a priority.
Right. Well,
although you nailed it though earlier, you said look at the players that went off the board in the first round. It was mostly offensive linemen and wide receivers. Poles was like, I'm not going to take an offensive lineman that's like 10th or 11th on my board. I'm going to get a guy that's going to help my team immediately. The wide receivers, we don't know that. I mean, Pickens, by all accounts, was a character concern.
That's the one Gabriel always kept talking about on his show nonstop. I couldn't remember which one it was.
Yeah,
son of a former NFL star. You remember Carl Pickens from the Cincinnati Bengals? That's his kid.
Yeah.
You know, the pedigree's there, but he comes with a little bit of a diva.
He's a shithead.
So I mean,
Daddy was a rich NFL player.
I mean, there's still free agency. There's some players out there, wide receiver and offensive line.
Yeah, but and I know Dan's on the same. What are how many? I know there are quality players out there, but we don't have the big money right now to sign any of the bigger players that would want a bigger contract. So, and one of the main reasons, and I know we're not expected to win this year, and it's rebuilding year. And that, admittedly, is going to be so frustrating for me. But all the roster we've built especially when it comes to talent, has been 1-year players. Here's a 1-year deal. Here's a 1-year deal. Here's a 1-year deal. So we're going to spend this 1 year, and Fields is going to get to know all of these players and maybe grow a rapport with them. Fields is on his 3rd coaching staff in 3 years. He's on his 4th coordinator in 3 years since he had 2 last year. So he's going to get to know all these receivers that are here for 1 year on a shitty offensive line. He's going to be running for his life with nobody to throw to. And then next year, when we've got the big money to spend on wide receivers, how many of the 1 years are going to be here that he built a rapport with? So he's going to be starting from scratch with those people to begin with again.
Well, look at it this way, though, Aaron. If, let's say, Pringle catches 85 passes, 7 touchdowns, and everyone in Chicago falls in love with him.
So.
He's gonna demand, a $20 million contract, and so the Bears will have that money. They will have that money. So there's no reason to immediately think that these 1-year signings are one and done. If they can, it's a prove it contract, and so they're proving it. They're going to go out there and prove it to the Bears too that they deserve an extension. And remember, if a guy like Pringle goes out and catches 100 passes, then you franchise tag him. He ain't going anywhere.
Sure.
So there's that. By the way, let me kind of interrupt the flow a little bit of this discussion. It's actually within the context of some of the things that we're saying is why DBs. And Jay Sanders in the chat said, Pace and Nagy were fired because of the offense, not because of the defense. But the defense had problems too, especially in the secondary. Listen to Brad Biggs on WSCR explain why the Bears targeted defensive backs.
The Bears' perceived needs, certainly, and I think they're real, were offensive line, wide receiver going into it, and the secondary. Guys, the opponent quarterbacks combined to have the highest passer rating against the Bears last year. They were 32nd in the league in that category. They were near the very bottom in yards per attempt for opponents, touchdown passes allowed. They struggled getting picks. All the while, they had one of the best pass rushers in the league, right? They got 48 sacks. So they're getting after the quarterback, and they're still getting shredded on the back end, so they're able to get a cornerback and the highest drafted safety by the Chicago Bears since Daniel Manning in 2006.
Tooch, I saw you nodding your head up and down, but I want to go to Dan first, and then we'll go to you, Tooch. Go ahead, Tooch. Dan.
2 things. Playing off of what Brad Biggs said, it's true. You're having this incredible year from Robert Quinn that breaks Richard Dent's record, and still the secondary, with all these sacks, just getting shredded. But another maddening part of the defense, I was talking a minute ago, and Aaron agreed, like last year it'd be 3rd and 20, 3rd and 14. They'd always give it up. But the most frustrating aspect would be 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and an inch. Man, no, inches it's different. The offense doesn't have to do but a quarterback sneak, but they never got off the field if it was 4th and fucking short. Never. They could have been playing the 76 Buccaneers that didn't win a game, the 08 Lions that didn't win a game. If it's 4th and 1, they're getting the first down. But one thing I really wanted to say when they were talking about, again, the Bears, they're not supposed to do anything this year. I know history is just history, but I want to use it as just a point to say it could happen. Look at the Bears teams quickly of the past. 93, Wani's first year. They're supposed to be dreadful, right? They were 4-12, 5-11 rather, when Ditka got fired after 92. Everyone was supposed to be old and slow. They hired Wani. At one point, they were 7-5. In playoff contention, of course, they fell off and finished 7-9. But they were in it. Next season, second year, they're still not supposed to be shit. They had nobody make the Pro Bowl that year. They go 9-7 and win a playoff game. They go to the second round, not supposed to be there. They go all the way to the second round. 2001, supposed to be Dick Duran's last year. He's going to be fired. They go 13-3. Of course, they lose to the Eagles. 2005, Lovey's second year. Rex gets hurt in the preseason against the Rams. They're supposed to be shitty. That's it. They put Kyle Orton in, a rookie, and they go 11-5. And they get to the second round. Of course, they lose to Carolina. But I'm just saying there are all these instances where these Bears teams are supposed to be horrible, and they succeeded. So I'm not willing to tell you that, well, this is it. We're going to be in the top 5 next year. Because if someone's going to say that to me, I'm going to argue the same points until the season.
Great points. Great points, Tucci. We're going to
Yeah, I
make
agree. Well, I mean, I can't argue much with what Dan said because you've seen teams go in the NFL from last to first every season. So, I mean, is it possible? Sure. I mean, I want to go back to what Brad Biggs said, though, and that was even though we had these great pass rushers, a great pass rushing season from Robert Quinn, we still weren't getting off the field. You know, I don't know how many – we were towards the bottom of the league in offensive plays run per game. The Bears were. So, I mean, getting off the field on third down is just going to give us more offensive plays for Justin Fields to run. That's how those 2 picks will help Justin Fields. People aren't seeing that. I mean, the more offensive plays we get, the better chance we have of winning the game. You don't have your offense on the field. You're not scoring as many points as the other team. It's that simple.
We had our offense on the field last year. We didn't score hardly any points.
You know, we didn't because we weren't on the field enough.
No, even we were. We couldn't score.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we were near the bottom of the league in offensive plays run per game. On average,
as bad as we were,
third of the
everything Tucher's saying, everything we've all said, there were still numerous games the Bears could have won. Think about the Andy Dalton game against the Cardinals. All those interceptions he threw, like 4 or 5 picks. I mean, if he just plays dreadful instead of fucking atrocious, we win that game. We should have won the Ravens game. Remember, and he threw the pass to take the lead with like 45 seconds to go to Marquise Goodwin, and what happened? We still lost to a bum quarterback that had never played a fucking down in the league before that game. So
usually
didn't even have Jackson.
I love the historical context Dan puts this stuff. It's great.
Eddie Jackson might be in trouble this year.
Yeah,
I mean, Eberflus might say DeAndre Houston-Carson fits the system better and just is in the right place at the right time.
It seems like this defense may be tailored to letting him stay back and be a ball hawk, though, is from anything I'm understanding too. They're not going to make the safety come up. I think they're more tailoring to letting him stay back and do what he did best when he was one of the best players in the league.
I just put up a poll here on the YouTube chat. Grade the Bears 2022 draft, and 75% say hopeful. So I like that mentality. I know that some of these players are questionable. I know that some of these players we don't know anything about. But again, I love the process Ryan Poles put into place, and that's what gives me hope that these minds that they put together to do all the scouting for us fans, to do all the evaluation, to do the picks. Nothing has been said that shouldn't give me trust.
And all the trades down. The trades down to get more picks.
Driving me fucking crazy. I work. My work computer's right here. My TV's right there. So all right, we're gonna pick. I'd hop off the work computer and just got over to my couch. I was like, they fucking traded again. And I'd go back. We have another pick and another pick or two. And the same thing. I'd jump over to the fucking couch.
I thought he was going to keep trading back until he was out of this draft and into next year's draft. We had no picks.
At that point, when I text you guys, I'm not fucking watching because I got all excited. I'm going to see it live on TV. And every time I plop my big ass down on the couch, it's like, oh, they traded. It's like 3 fucking times in a row. It's getting so sick of it, dude.
But in hindsight, now that part of it's over, the fact that they had, 11 picks, doesn't that make you feel like he did the most he could in this draft?
Yeah.
No, I think, again, I'm being a bitter bitch.
What did we have? 6 picks going into the draft?
Yeah, we had 6 and we ended up with what? 11? It's not bad. Yeah. Come on. And now I know these 7th rounders, it's always a chance, but as somebody said on one of the radio broadcasts, they drafted 4 offensive linemen. If one of them becomes a starter, bingo, bango, bongo. I don't think that's the way they put it. That's the way I put it.
Makes sense. We got it.
But Braxton Jones, I mean, a lot of people thought that he was going to be a day 2 pick. I really think that this guy could be the starting left tackle come the season opener if he progresses quickly. He's got all the tools. He's got a lot of makeup. And then these 7th rounders, late round picks that are offensive linemen, those guys have developmental promise. So we'll see.
What do you think? What do you guys think about? And maybe he'll prove to be a great pick, but as frustrated as I was with that alignment in the first 3. Again, I could be happy with the corner and the safety, but that 3rd pick, I needed to be a guard or a tackle. Of course, later they got a center. They got that tackle you just referenced. And then randomly they take that running back. And everyone keeps saying, "Oh, he's a returner." But wait, we drafted a returner with the third pick in the draft.
Yeah,
in the third round in Jones. So who's this guy then? And why did we take him? It feels like we already signed the guy from the Titans. We've got David Cummings, our draft pick from last year from Virginia Tech. I mean, we signed the fullback. Like, why do we need another running back? And especially if he's just a returner when we already have a fucking returner.
Can I answer that?
Please.
Dude.
This guy is one of the best kick returners in college football last year. I watched some Baylor games this year. This kid's, man, he's a good player. If he gets on the team, you're going to like this kid because he's like a 5'11", 210-pound Tariq Cohen.
Yeah, that's what I keep.
He's shifty and he's faster than Tariq Cohen. And he is a great kickoff returner. Man, one of the best returners in all of college football. And man, Baylor was a run first team last year. Is that Adam Hodge after Olin Kreutz got done with him?
Adam Hogue. Come on.
Adam Hogue.
It's Dexter.
Okay, it's Dexter. I was like, poor Adam.
I didn't know that it was. I didn't know the extent of it, and I missed the part of the show where what evidently was said, but I didn't know it was Hogue.
Yeah, it was Adam Hogue, and he simply was a little bit critical of Olin's assessment of the draft, and Olin just happened to walk in while that was being said. And
if you all could pick one media guy for Olin Kreutz to beat up or choke or whatever he did allegedly to Adam Hogue, who would it be?
National or local?
Any way you want to take it, where Olin might be in the same room with him.
Yeah, Tucci already has a name on the tip of his tongue.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm not.
Go ahead, Dan. You go first.
Ooh, I'll ask it like you did then. You want me to go national or local?
Go national.
Whatever you want.
I'll go local. You go national.
National. It might have to be Stephen Asshole Smith. The A is for asshole. Maybe Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless is another good one. Yep.
Yeah,
Can I choose like the Bears blog guy and Eric Lambert? That's
again, I've never interacted with the Bears blog. I know everyone tells me that he pretends to have sources that he allegedly doesn't, but I don't have any heat with him. I don't know anything about him. From what I can gather about the Eric Lambert guy, I don't know him either. It seems like a lot of his stories are clickbait, but I don't know. I don't have any malice toward them at all. So I would think locally, like I said, Brad Biggs blocked me for nothing, and so did David Haw. But so maybe, and I know Lovey hated Brad Biggs, so maybe if he took, and I know Briggs kept fucking with Aldo too, thinking he was Phil. So maybe I would choose Olin to go over and just put fucking Brad Biggs in some kind of wrestling chokehold, like a front face lock, and make him pass out.
That's hilarious. You guys have anybody?
I don't know. I guess I don't know enough. I guess how about Colin Cowherd when he was watching a Packers game? Not Colin. Collinsworth.
Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah.
That would make Dan happy.
Just when Aaron Rodgers said anything a Packers game, Collinsworth for the Packers games. Although I did really enjoy Collinsworth's episode we had with Matt Eberflus. He had a 45-minute interview. I guess they've known each other for quite a long time, so it was really cool to listen to Collinsworth basically tell him congratulations after all these years you finally got it. That was a really cool interview.
That's hilarious. Great question. I'm going to pass on answering that question. I don't want to get myself in any more trouble than I have been in the past.
I think I would like to see Kenny Albert. Not that I dislike him. I would just like to hear him talking while he's getting beaten up. Oh, Olin, this is Kenny Albert. No.
I'll tell you one thing though. If Aaron Rodgers would be a good candidate, right? If Olin Olin was really, really upset with Aaron's "I own you, Chicago" comment. So that
I would want him to bring blood on Rodgers, though.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want him just to choke him out or have Aaron be like, "Oh,
I don't think you'd have to push him that hard."
Segment. No, I want Aaron to actually get the restraining order.
These are jokes, by the way, everybody. We're not.
Yeah, they're jokes. Wink, wink, wink.
Jordan says, "Give me the Larry Merchant." Ha ha ha. Larry Merchant?
I love Larry Merchant when he did boxing on HBO with Jim Lampley.
Yes. Why Larry Merchant, Jordan?
I love
I thought
Larry
he was
Merchant.
good.
That's so random. Like the next one will be like Joe Tessitore or somebody else that's done boxing.
I would love that pose that question to Olin himself. Olin, if you're listening, come on and
No, Olin might fuck me up just because.
If you guys were to meet Olin, would you now be extra careful about what you say so that you don't?
Yes, I would have to begin with. I mean, it's just, out of respect, I don't know that would have said anything. I mean, knowing his reputation many times from what Greg Gabriel's talked about
This is
too,
like
but
the
I don't
third-
know that it now would have changed anything that I would have done to begin with.
The minimum, the third incident, because there was a time he attacked a teammate at Washington, University of Washington, a fellow teammate, and then the FBI gun range with Fred Miller, right? They broke Fred Miller's jaw. So, I mean, and now Adam Hogue. So, but yeah, I mean, it's not like there wasn't a precedent, Aldo.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
It's like I don't have any heat with Hogue. That's why it's so weird that it is Adam, because he seems like, I mean, he's a little cocky, I guess, but he seems very respectful though.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just so like
it really seems like they got along well.
It being Jason Leisure, who again I like because he asks good questions, but I could see him being a little bit, self-important and cocky and being one of these guys that would almost taunt him into hitting him. But Hogue seems like a kind of guy that would shy away from, not calling him a pussy, but it just seems like he wouldn't alpha male anybody. So
yeah, I agree. But you know how sometimes Olin wasn't in the room. So, sometimes we all will say something about somebody else who's not in the room and maybe not say it in the best manner. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe Olin walked into the room and Hogue was saying, I can't fucking believe Olin was so upset with this draft. That's kind of stupid. And maybe he walked in, hearing that and that's what set him off. And in the WSCR show Parkinson Spiegel, I think it was Parkins that put it this way, is, football players have that kind of Neanderthal gene in them. And anyone who follows local radio here, they might remember that Doug Buffon, John Buffon's uncle, a former Bears player and a broadcasting legend, he went after Dan Bernstein because Dan Bernstein was making jokes of his faulty memory, and Buffon got really pissed off. And I think what he did was headlocked Dan Bernstein. I'm not absolutely sure, but there was some kind of physical contact. And then almost immediately, Buffon apologized and both men started joking about it. But it was a physical confrontation that under perhaps today's human resources regulations and so forth would have probably meant Doug Buffon would have lost his job.
And don't forget the classic Jim Everett and Jim Rome.
Oh, yeah. That was calling him Chris Everett,
the tennis player.
Former quarterback Jim Everett was not happy with being called Chris Everett.
Yeah, and you remember the ESPN book? I think we've referenced it before. It's like something like, These Guys Have All the Fun. Did you read that?
No, I had not.
It's from 2009. It's got all these inside stories in it, and it gives you both sides. Like if Keith Olbermann is like, God, Susie Colbert was a fucking cunt, and she was so terrible to work with and all this, and then they'll go to Susie, it was back and forth. And, like Joe Theismann accused Mike Tirico of getting him kicked off of Monday Night Football, and all kinds of women accused him of sexual abuse and all this and such, or sexual harassment. But the point, the reason I reference it, that Jim Everett, Jim Rome story was in there. I don't remember who specifically was talking about it, but the inside info was that was not scripted at all. It wasn't something like Jim Everett just kind of beat the shit out of him. Like no one knew it was going to happen. It wasn't staged.
Yep. It was not at all. Aaron, look like you got something on your mind.
No, I'm good. No, just listening to all the stories. I mean, I didn't know about all that stuff. I kind of had a vague recollection of some of it, but I didn't know all those stories. I'm still going over. It's crazy with because I liked listening to Olin and Hogue because they just started this HBO network and they were all part of it. So it's just, I mean, it's a shame. It's that I hope Olin gets to continue his career though as a broadcaster. He's really good.
Yeah, I really do. I almost feel like, those two guys might end up doing a show together somewhere sometime, or at least, be on a show together. Well, they'll talk about the incident. I got a feeling based on what I've read and having interacted just a little bit with Adam Hogue. We saw him at Bourbonnais and talked to him, had him on the show a few times. In fact, I talked to him at Bourbonnais 3 or 4 times, and he just seems like a super nice guy. And
he's like, absolutely.
Yeah. So
and he's got a kid that was sick for a long time early on, and so he's a good dad. And,
and I bet that Olin has already reached out to him and apologized. I hope that he has, and that they could put this behind it. If there's going to be any fights here in Chicago media, I want to see Tooch fight somebody. Who do you want to beat up there, Tooch?
I want to see Tooch in the ring with Fat Mike, who I liked when I interacted with.
Fat Mike is a cool guy. That would be a great fight. What do you think, Tooch?
Yeah.
Can you
For charity, sure. For charity. I love Fat Mike too, though. He's one of my friends.
Yeah,
I hate calling him Fat Mike.
No, he loves it.
I know. I feel like such a dick when I say it.
Yeah. He told me he was on a diet and he was losing weight, and he says, "You know what? I realized I'm Fat Mike, man. I'm just fuck the diet shit."
That's funny. That's one way to rationalize it.
Yeah. I talked to him recently. He seems to be doing well. So yeah, let's not. If there's going to be any fights, it should be here at the bar room. I mean, that's what bar rooms are for.
Right. Well, somebody actually had a comment about that earlier. Said usually men used to just fight and go have beer together. I don't remember what comment it was. It was a couple minutes ago. Somebody put that up there.
Oh my gosh, yes. You got to get over it, man. Move on and shake.
Once and for all, Buffon will come out and say, "God damn it, Dan, you're right. I hate you," and just punch me in the fucking mouth. And I'll be like, all right, let's go. Let's shake hands.
Jordan has volunteered to fight Don Burr. Detroit versus Chicago. Actually, Jordan is out west, so it's via. I think what he told me he's out, not L.A. Where the hell are you at, Jordan? Somewhere in Southern California,
San Diego area or California? It's the Los Angeles area. I think he's in Orange County or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Joe DeVille says Dan versus Phil. Would you be willing to get into a round?
I like I said so many times, I have nothing but I wish Phil and Shane well. It's not just speak like, oh, you're just saying it because it's the right thing to do. Both guys, I was going through a hard time in my life when I found this show, and I think highly of them.
Yeah,
and I wish them both well.
Me too. Same here.
Yep.
So I don't want to fight Phil. Fuck no. I don't want to fight Shane either. Although Shane and I both had some heat with each other, but I don't have it anymore. And I certainly wish his son well. And I like the fact that he got to witness that World Series for the Dodgers with his dad too. I think that's a great moment. And so no, I don't want to fight Phil or Shane, and I hope they're both well.
Although that would be that'd be a fight that I would love to see. You 6'5" versus Phil 5'1".
Is he really 5'1"?
Yeah, no, I would say he's probably 5'5", 5'6". There is a fantastic picture of Phil next to Kyle Long, and it's the funniest fucking shit because Phil really came up to about his belly button.
Anybody's going to be short next to Kyle Long.
That is true, but a short man is going to be really short next to him. But Phil makes up for brains and football smarts and
sure.
and artistry.
Yeah.
So
and he can freestyle, man.
Oh my gosh, he's very good.
The dude can just fucking spit out.
Very talented. Very talented.
5 minutes of like a fucking hip hop song, all off the top of his head.
Yeah. Swanky says, if you disagree with Phil, you're a nerd, troll, hater. I troll that show. Swanky's the man.
Barfly should check out Phil's high school highlights because he was really phenomenal running back if they get a chance.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. He posted one where it was like a 62-yard run. He had speed. I saw him run here when he was in Chicago. He's running up Peyton Hill. He can run it. All right, guys. What else is on the docket here? More football? Should we talk some more football? I know, Aaron, you've got some bottled up thoughts you want.
No, I mean, I've got basically got to think everything out. It's again, I definitely would consider myself a meatball. I know what I think we should do, and I like the big flashy moves, and I would have preferred it to go a different way. But I also know enough that I don't know anything, and I like I said, that's all I do all day is digest as much Bears info and media as articles or tweets or videos or podcasts. That's all I do all day is listen to it. So I try and get as many opinions as I can, especially if I'm upset about something that's happened, to kind of get an outsider perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a proposition for everybody, and it's hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you and I have spoken about it before, Aldo, but it's hypothetical. The schedule finally gets disseminated on May the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
And then right afterwards, they're going to put a couple of tickets on sale, and it's going to say they're sold out pretty quickly, I would imagine, when it's my turn, because that's the way the world works now with tickets. John Oliver even did a special on it recently, a segment that Aldo sent me.
Yeah.
So, but this is what I was thinking about. Maybe we could all get on the same page. Again, I don't want to seem like Castro or Hitler here and just tell you this is the way it's going to be. I was thinking about maybe that Texans game, because it would be cool to see Lovey again, but I don't know if it ends up being a primetime game or something where I'd like for it to be a Sunday game, but I'd like to come in if it's feasible this year and see a game. It'd be cool if we could all meet up and do that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would love that too. I would love to host you guys over at the house and head over to Soldier Field together. Hopefully soon we can just head over down the block from where I live.
Yeah.
Well, here's my proposition to you specifically, Aldo. Maybe I should have done this off the air, but I was thinking if I can swing it, maybe I could buy your ticket, mine, and a date like last season. And then maybe you could hypothetically, drive me around like last year, because I don't know where the fuck I'm at, and maybe pick me up from the airport.
Fucking A, of course.
And I would, of course, from my graciousness of staying at your home and stuff, I'd buy your ticket too.
Nah, you don't have to do that.
No, but I want to.
I know you want to, but you don't have to. You shouldn't do
that. But
I
want to. I insist. How about that? I insist.
Okay. And if you don't find a date, don't worry. I'll have some horrors here and some exotic dancers.
Well, that's even better. Or maybe we just come in. So I'm thinking if we fly, it'd give me more time as opposed to being in such a hurry with the drive.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm kind of like dreaming here, but maybe Mrs. Gandia could watch the JFK stuff with us while I'm there. I'd love to watch that with you and get your reactions and have conversations, but hopefully you all actually watch it before the season.
Oh, we're already planning on watching it this upcoming weekend, at least some of the discs. Dan was nice enough to send me a bunch of DVDs on some excellent JFK assassination documentaries, and so my wife is really big into that, so we're going to watch that together. So really looking forward to that. And so when you come, Dan, we can, trust me, there's so many places in Chicago I would love for you to see and experience. And
I want to see the lakefront. I didn't even get to see the lake last time I was there.
Yeah. And Aaron, how much time have you spent here in Chicago?
When I'm there, it's usually for 4 or 5 days at a time. I've probably been up there. God damn it. I've been to Comic-Con 3 times, Wizard World, and I've been to 3 Bears games. I want to say maybe 4. So I've spent.
What's their record when you're there?
Well, my very first game, my girlfriend bought me tickets to go see. I saw Matt Forte's last game as a Bear and Megatron's last game. So we lost that one. I got to see us beat San Francisco. Colin Kaepernick's last game. Oh fuck! I didn't realize.
Was that the snow?
Yeah.
That's
fucking froze my tits off.
A huge game, man.
It was snowing like crazy, but it was a heavy, wet, dense snow. I thought my girlfriend was going to freeze to death. We were frozen. It was bad. And then
Jordan Howard was a beast that day.
Yeah, he was. And then I saw last time Steelers were in Chicago. I was there with my younger brother, who's a Steelers fan.
The Cohen game?
No, I don't think that one. I don't think so. Maybe it was. I don't remember.
The one where they went to overtime and won with Jordan Howard's touchdown, but Cohen
think so, yeah.
First, and they said he was out of bounds.
Oh, and I was at a preseason game. One time I went up to Comic-Con, and that Sunday we caught a preseason game. I actually got to see, I was like 7 rows back from Kevin White's first touchdown. It was preseason, but I was still right there to get to see it. So that was pretty cool. So 3 real season games, 3 normal games, 1 preseason, and I've been up there 3 or 4 or other times for
that Steelers game. Let's dive into that. It would have probably been either 09 or
no, it was more recent, within the last 6 or 7 years.
Jay's first game at home. Then it must have been that Cohen game. Then
it must have been, yeah, because it was like I said, I believe when Glenn was
playing.
Oh, Glenn might have been, yeah.
Was it week? That would have been week 2.
It was hot. I remember that. Yeah, so that sounds like it could have been right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep, that makes sense.
Oh, one more quick thing I should ask off air, but just since we're here, if I do fly there, should I go to O'Hare or to the other one? Which one's closer to your home?
O'Hare.
Okay. There you go.
Now, I don't mind picking you up at Midway if you get a cheaper flight. Well,
whatever's easier on you.
Well, O'Hare is much closer to Arlington Heights than Midway.
Usually that's where I stay. Is something Inn and Suites is like a mile down from O'Hare, and only like a few miles away from the train station, which we just always take the train into town. So, goddamn it, because it's right next to the Donald E. Stevens Center.
Yeah,
it's like 3 miles from there's the motel. We've stayed there every time I've ever been in Chicago.
Yeah,
so it should be right next to there.
Nomad says, I need to take you to the original Maxwell Street, Dan, for a Polish sandwich or a pork chop sandwich. The pork chop sandwiches made Maxwell Street style are phenomenal. Effing phenomenal. And so, yeah, we'll need to do some of those, not just the touristy places like Lakeshore Drive, but some of the other more obscure places that people may not have heard of, like Maxwell Street and some other places, where
if it's in like November, it would be cool if the Bulls are in town. Of course, I know in November is when they go on that circus trip, but yeah, it'd be cool to see, or even the Blackhawks, because I've never been to a hockey game. I've never really watched hockey though.
Trust me, even if you don't like hockey, you'll enjoy going to a Blackhawks game, at least in the first period, because if they're not playing well, you may not enjoy it. But the energy at the beginning of the first period with the singing of the national anthem, the introduction of players.
Corneliusen.
Yeah, Jim Corneliusen.
I love Jim Corneliusen.
Yeah,
exactly. My God.
Exactly. I mean, it's a real treat. And so seeing a hockey game, and of course, seeing a baseball game. When Draft Dr. Phil was in town, Greg Braggs invited Phil and me to a game at Wrigley Field, and we had a blast.
Oh, that would be great too.
Yeah, we had a blast. It was a good time. Thanks, Greg.
I may be on bad luck for the White Sox, so stay away from U.S. Cellular.
It seems like everything is a bad luck for the White Sox recently.
Right. Is La Russa keeping the gig?
La Russa so far is keeping the gig, but I wonder if, management, general manager Rick Hahn isn't going to Jerry Reinsdorf and saying, see, I told you were wrong. That's just not a good situation over there. I don't think these players are playing hard for him, or they have been snake bitten by a lot of injuries and stuff. So I don't know. All I know is that I want the Bears to go 17-0 this season. I want Dan to be absolutely right about why not us. I want Justin Fields to shut up, the Mike Florios and anybody else who has the audacity to criticize him or to even contemplate that he might not be a superstar quarterback. I want George McCaskey and Virginia McCaskey to finally host the Super Bowl trophy. Poor Virginia McCaskey. Nobody deserves it more than her. And I know a lot of people have been critical of her. Well, she should have done this or she should have done that. I don't care. I want that near 100. She's 99 now, isn't she?
97. Because I think she's a year older than the Queen, and I think the Queen just turned like 96, didn't she?
Oh wow! Wouldn't that be great if both of them got together and
there you go. Yeah, invite the Queen over for a Bears Super Bowl. I could see
yeah.
I mean, they love England and like Europe loves Chicago, so that could happen.
I would love the Queen and Virginia McCaskey over here to the man cave here at the Gandia residence. I'll do exotic dancing for them. I'll I'll wear a thong.
Yes.
You know how
she is 99.
how she like loved all the players when she was younger, like she had lust for them.
That's right.
Yeah.
What if one of those players was Buffon and she saw John and thought it was Doug, and like, her last wish in life was like one more dicking? Would John make the sacrifice if it meant we won the Super Bowl?
I wish I had a sound effect of "Please stand by, technical difficulties."
She is 99, I guess.
One last dicking. That is wild.
99.
Well, what if she saw him and was like, "Oh my God, that's Doug. That's Doug. I remember Doug looking like that when fucking LBJ was president." You know, but it's John.
23.
But maybe she gets befuddled by it and thinks, well, no, this is Doug Buffon.
That would be outstanding. That would be outstanding. Yeah, we'd have to bring John over. I'm really digging this. Jay Sanders says that he heard Virginia was smashing Gail's hairs. That's not true, Jay Sanders.
I hope
Stop
it is
that.
true.
Stop that.
The 18 inches of daylight was his cock. I can't. Gail's passed on. I don't want to.
You see what happened here? I'm saying I want to see Virginia McCaskey get her. I'm trying to be the Mr. Nice guy.
Cordial, yeah.
We just get back down to our Neanderthals.
It's a bunch of dudes being dudes. It's all good.
Is it time to drop the swinging light bulb?
I don't have any sex stories
Come
for you.
on,
No.
Dan. Come on, please make something
I
up.
haven't been late in a few weeks. What do you want? I can't make it up.
What about one of the stories from the past?
I mean, there's a lot of stories from the past.
Yeah. Tell me about the girl with the big bush, not George Bush.
Oh, the one on my birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, I've told you that on air before. Like I said, the World Series was on. You know, the Astros were down 3-1. And it looked like they ended up winning that game on my birthday. And I thought, okay, now they're going back to Houston. Maybe Dusty finally wins a championship. Of course, that was all for naught. But during that game, she gave me like a birthday blowjob and wanted nothing else in return at the time. So I thought that was going to be it. Mm-hmm. But then as the night progressed, she got tired and she said, and she stay over. And of course, I wasn't going to be like, get out, bitch. You know, I mean, of course, I was going to let her sleep over. But when we went to the bedroom, that's when she, kind of made a move, but it was dark. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm not saying this as a proclivity with her religion or whatnot, but she happened to be Jewish. Uh-huh. And she, I didn't see her body because earlier she was clothed when she was doing her thing. And then it's dark. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I was like, holy shit, she's got more hair on her legs than I do. And she had more hair under her because I have terrible man fur under my arms. It would grow from like my fucking arm to my balls if I let it. So I try to trim my arm hair because it's fucking nasty if it's too wild. So, but she had more man hair under her arms than I did and more hair on my legs. And I presume it was all black because it was dark. I couldn't see it. And obviously she had
it was bright red like my beard. Twist of fate, man.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, was it as much as Aaron's beard?
Well, I don't know. I couldn't see it. I could only feel it. And like I said, for that moment in time, that split second, I dug it because it was so different. But if you ask me, what do I prefer? Of course, I prefer a girl with some like clean shaven, like girl legs, you know? Mm-hmm. But for that moment in time, it was like an unscripted, like, ooh, difference of something. But she was okay. She, I don't know why she never, she texted a little bit after that, but we never hooked up or even had dinner or anything after that. I mean, she's still like, I could text her now and she would text me back. There's no animosity, but I guess our schedules didn't mesh. But yeah, she was the only hairy lady I've been. And again, let me stress, I don't mean some shit like, because my wife had dark black hair, and if let's say she was sick, and she didn't shave today because she felt like shit, she might have a little bit of a shadow under her arms pretty quickly, but it was nothing like that. I'm talking about hair. She had man hair.
Wow.
Fur.
I've never seen anything felt anything like it.
So people in the chat room want to know, are you sure it was a woman?
I was going to say the lights were off, bro. That's a bait and switch.
I mean, I was in her vagina.
Were you though?
How dark was it?
Yeah, I was in her vagina. She told me quickly she had taken antibiotics. So I was like, ooh, there'll be no coming in this vagina. On antibiotics, the birth control can kind of go sideways. So I wasn't going to take that fucking chance.
Oh, no kidding. Huh.
Oh my goodness, we've got a lot of deviants in the chat. Well, that's a good one. So, Dan, when are you going to get back on the saddle? What's been going on? We need some.
I got my trips coming up, man. That's the main thing. I got a bunch of work between now and then, but in 2 weeks, I've got my concert. It's going to be crazy. On Saturday, May 14th, I'm going to wake up early in the morning and drive to Cincinnati, which is like 5 hours, and watch Danzig and Cradle of Filth and drive straight back afterwards, which is going to be crazy. Mm-hmm. So, and that's on Saturday night into Sunday. And then on Wednesday of that same week, I fly to Florida for my festival.
Nice.
So it's going to be, man, just a hectic time in the life of mine, you know?
Yeah.
Dan, I think you should remain celibate until the Bears lose their first game.
You know, I don't want to do that, but even if
it might work. It might work.
That might be week 1.
Yeah, that's right. No, I don't believe that celibate at all. I think the more Dan fucks, the better it is for the shows.
Well, keep in mind, because I don't like to really tell a lot of present stories because I don't want any women in the present that might be doing those things to get embarrassed or pissed off about, you know? And I don't want them to think I violated some kind of trust with them. I didn't say her name or anything like that, you know?
Right. Oh, and you know, most people think you're making the stories up anyways. So.
I'm not making the stories up. That's the one thing in life.
You should have just said nothing there, Dan.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not making this shit up. It's like the one thing. It's I don't look like Zac Efron or Brad Pitt, but I've managed to get laid a lot in my life, and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, good for you, man. I'm really happy for you. I live vicariously through you. Lately, the only time I get laid is when I take a nap by myself. Laying down. All right, guys, it is time to talk about something a little differently. There's been so many cool things happening in the world of television and streaming and so forth. I want to leave plenty of time to get opinions from all of you. Who wants to start by maybe sharing something that they've been watching that they would like to showcase or warn us of something that they saw and say, please don't watch this show? Why don't we start with our guest, Aaron?
You know, it's the show I've kind of been digging on too. You brought up last episode was Outer Range. Mm-hmm. I got a pretty good track record with this could be cool and checking it out, and it's awesome. It is 6 episodes in. It's an Amazon Prime. It's an 8-episode series. It's got Josh Brolin in it, and Tooch can probably name 30 other people in the show because he's Tooch's knowledge about actors is like Dan's knowledge of Bears players. Like the way that he can rattle those off is next to none.
Mm-hmm.
But
Chicago's own Lily Taylor, Aldo.
Oh wow!
Oh, yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah,
it's. Without giving too much away, so basically you can see it in the trailer. They're on a ranch in Wyoming, and Josh Brolin's character finds this giant hole in the ground suddenly on his ranch. And then this kind of a hippie chick shows up, and there's 2 or 3 characters right out of the bat that are kind of like, okay, they fucking know something about this mysterious thing, and it just keeps getting kind of weirder. Yeah, and I'm trying not to give it away. I gotta watch it. It's so good. I think after the first episode, you're going to be hooked. Mm-hmm. But it's mysterious. I kind of thought I knew what was going on right away, but it hasn't come to be the case, and I think I'm probably wrong. But it's got family drama, it's got violence, it's got intrigue and mystery, and it kind of just. I love shows that on more than one occasion I say, "What the fuck?" Like, oh, and then it's like, oh god, like there's a big revelation about, there's some kind of time travel involved with some of the aspects. Like I said, it's really tough to get into it without giving it away, but I do recommend that absolutely everybody should check it out.
Excellent. Going to have to check that out. Tooch just talked about it. Tell me why you like it so much, Tooch.
Well, it's got that Lost vibe, with like when anybody ever watched Lost on ABC back in the day. I think it came out 2005 or something like that. But there was that mystery, it's like something strange is going on here, like whether it's time travel or another dimension or something like that. But the whole has the same mystery as the hatch from Lost, or the island. It's that same kind of weird.
Right.
And, there's two ranchers. They're old ranching families. They're fairly well off, and they have land next to each other. And Will Patton is the competing.
Well,
rancher.
They're rich.
Right, rich. I guess
the other one's isn't.
Yeah, maybe. Josh Brolin and his wife aren't exactly as rich as, but they do own a lot of land. And Will Patton is trying to take away the land, their west pasture, which has the hole on it. Royal's trying to conceal knowledge of the hole, because he hasn't quite figured out there's a strange mineral involved on his land that we don't know the origin of it. And J2K also agrees. Yeah, Outer Range is good. Sorry, Aldo.
No, that's all right. My bad.
You got a phenomenal cast with Josh Brolin, Lily Taylor, Will Patton, a bunch of other younger actors who are phenomenal, like Imogen Poots. The kids of Josh Brolin are really good too in it. But it's good, man. You'll enjoy it. It's not a dull moment in it. Great. There's some funny stuff in there too. Some funny lines.
What have you seen, Tooch, besides that you want to share with us?
Let's see. I've been watching Tokyo Vice on Stephen Nagishi's recommendation. I'm at the waiting for the next episode of that. Of course, Winning Time with the story of the Lakers is great. And the second half of Ozark's last season dropped the other day, so can't get enough of the Ozark, man. Love Ozark, man. If you haven't watched Ozark, man, it's fucking killer.
We didn't start these last 2 years is too much of a break for me to even pretend like I care. And then like, I'm going to have to go back and watch everything to watch. Like, it's just, I didn't get into it. I don't know that I'll ever finish it because of that. I mean, I understand pandemic and all that, but if it would have kept trucking, absolutely. But it's like, oh, here's new season of Ozark. I'm like 2 fucking years later. Like, I'm not going to go watch those first couple of seasons just to catch up again.
It's worth it.
Well, I've done that with other shows, but being a sci-fi dork like The Witcher, I'll go back and watch the whole thing if I need to again. Sure. But just, I mean, Ozark was dope. Now, what was the other Jason Bateman fucking HBO? What was that? Outsider. No, The Outsider came out with a second, third, fourth, fifth season. I'd watch the whole fucking thing over and over because that was good. But just Ozark isn't. It's good, but it's not good enough to keep me coming back and make me invest in watching the whole thing again.
Well, let's rewind a little bit and talk a little bit about Winning Time. And for those,
well, let me throw one at you first,
please,
if you don't mind. No. I want to recommend to everyone. I'm not saying I'm like this actor's biggest fan, but this was a great movie, and I know Aldo would enjoy it for sure.
I saw it.
I know. Oh, you did see it?
Yep.
Oh, did you like it? I feel like you would love this movie.
I absolutely loved it. Tell people what we're talking about.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
I do want to see that.
I have not saw that. I thought you were going to talk about The Survivor on HBO.
Oh, no, I saw The Survivor as well. But I do believe you would enjoy I'm afraid to even depict it and give spoilers.
Nicolas Cage playing himself, essentially.
Yeah, and he has an alter ego of himself, which is an exaggerated version of himself playing in that David Lynch movie, Wild Things, that sort of talks to him.
Wild at Heart.
Yeah, Wild at Heart. My bad. You're right. And there's a Spanish gentleman. I don't know his work. His name's Pedro something.
Pedro Pascal.
He's in Game of Thrones.
The Mandalorian. He's the Mandalorian.
He's got a couple other sci-fi things out. He's in a lot of shit, dude. He's pretty accomplished. I like him a lot.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal.
Most of him, and these two guys are great together. And just, I don't know, I can't describe it without giving you spoilers. Suffice to say, this is Nicolas Cage's best work easily in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's phenomenal. And like I said, I know Aldo well enough to know. I'll just say this: they're in the movie and they're talking about things that mirror not only reality, like Nicolas Cage is in the movie talking about potentially playing in a movie of a guy who's sort of making a comeback, but he doesn't want to admit that it's a comeback, and all these things that mirror reality of his own career and within the subcontext of the film as well. Like they're talking about, well, wouldn't it be nice to have a kidnapping in the script? And they kind of argue over it. And then later in the movie, there's a kidnapping. So all these things, you could just break them off are happening in reality, but they're also crossing lines of reality. It's phenomenal.
I got some clips up on the screen right now. What's his name is in it? Neil Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah. He plays Nicolas Cage's agent in it.
Okay.
And I got two more things for you.
Okay, go ahead.
I've told you this one before, but Gaslit on Stars is fucking great. Like this week, they went into the Watergate break-in like nothing I've ever seen. Where they're focusing on like McCord and Liddy and how they actually did the operation that was obviously bungled, but they focus on the break-in itself in this episode and how things allegedly went down. It's great. And like I said, Sean Penn is the Attorney General and his wife is Julia Roberts. If you like that era of history, it's a great show. It's on Stars. And finally, I watched a show on Showtime that I kind of dug that had Molly Shannon in it called I Love That For You, where it gives you a behind the scenes look of what it would be like to work at like QVC or something. And the girl gets hired and they fire her. So she tells them she has cancer and they feel sorry for her and leave her on, but she doesn't have cancer. She had it in the past.
Okay.
So she's kind of like, that's how she wanted their sympathy though, to not fire her because she bombed on her first on-air appearance. But it's pretty funny, man. And like I said, it's kind of vulgar, you know, and got Molly Shannon from SNL. I like it. I thought it was cool.
She's very talented. I like her in just about everything I've seen her in. It's nice that she's got that plum role. It sounds like a plum role anyway. I did see The Survivor based on your recommendation, Dan, and oh man, is that a powerful movie. And Ben Foster, who a lot of people will recognize perhaps from the X-Men movies. Tooch, you're great at filmography. What else has Ben Foster done that people might recognize him from? I know he was in 6 Feet Under for a couple of seasons. He played Claire's
I think I know who you're talking about, and I think I fucking love this guy.
Yeah. Sometimes plays like a guy on the edge.
310 to Yuma. He was a bad guy. He was in the first Punisher with Thomas Jane as well.
Yes.
So he's one of those that like, he's one of the few that he's so goddamn good. I almost don't recognize who it is at first. And then I'm like, oh, I fucking love that guy. And I can never remember his name, but I love anything he's in. I think he's an outstanding actor. He's one of my favorites.
The first time I saw him, he was a teenager in 6 Feet Under, you know, who looked like he was depressed, you know, had family problems and near suicidal. And then the very next thing I saw him in was in the X-Men movie where he played one of the X-Men superheroes. And he had transformed his body from the skinny, geeky kid.
He was Archangel, wasn't he?
To just a super muscular. And in this movie, The Survivor, he does the same thing. He does a Robert De Niro, except it's different. When the story is about, it's based on a true story of a man named Henry Haft, who was in a concentration camp. And apparently the Nazis used to collect Jews to have boxing matches for their entertainment. And Henry Haft got involved in a fight with a Nazi soldier, and an official, an SS official, saw how good he could punch, and so said to himself, "This guy can, make me a lot of money fighting fellow Jews." The problem is that if you lost the fight, it was true gladiator style. If you lost the fight, you also lost your life. And so the character Henry Haft, played again by Ben Foster, he doesn't want to do it, because he realizes if I beat somebody up, they're going to be killed. But he's faced with this so-called Sophie's choice decision: save himself or die.
Or die.
Yeah. So the body transformation that he does.
62 pounds.
Yes, 62 pounds he lost. He's still ripped, He's still, and then
he's supposed to be a starving Jew in the concentration camp.
Exactly. And then when you see him in 1960s, when the story is being told, him as an older man, married with kids and so forth, he is much, much older. And then there's the middle scenes where he was a boxer fighting Rocky Marciano. His claim to fame is that he was known as the Auschwitz survivor, and he actually fought Rocky Marciano just before Rocky became the heavyweight champion of the world. It's a brilliantly told story, directed by Barry Levinson, who film lovers will know. Barry Levinson has done tons of stuff like Diner, and he did the Homicide series, I believe. He's done all sorts of great stuff. And this film it's not an easy watch by any means, but it is a truly heroic story and worth your time.
If I could add to it, a couple things. I don't want to give them spoilers if they want to watch it, but the one thing I thought that it was cool that the Nazi that handles him, they gave him a little bit of depth, if that's all possible. Like he's like, look, this concentration camp shit, this has nothing to do with me, man. He is just like, I don't even think we're gonna win. He's like, the Third Reich's going to fall. He's just like, this is the reality. I didn't create it. I don't necessarily support it, but I'm a German, so I have to go along with it. I mean, I'm not, that's a simplistic view of it, but he's just saying, I don't hate Jews. He's like, but I'm on the winning side right now, but I know this isn't going to continue. There's no way. There's too many madmen on our side. And that's cool, even though, he is a monster and he's going along with, genocide. But at least he feels like it's wrong, because I think in all Nazi portrayals, we just view them all as advocating wholeheartedly wanting to exterminate Jewish people, and they probably all were. But at least within the context of this movie, at least it gives him a little bit of depth that I didn't expect. And the thing with Marciano, I'll look that up. The real guy says that he had to throw the fight because mafia figures threatened to kill him.
That's right. He claims, Henry Haft claims that the fight against Rocky Marciano, where he clearly was kicking Rocky Marciano's ass in the first round, and that's in the movie and in real life, as told by journalists. But then in the second and third round, he gets mauled almost to a moment within his death. But Henry Haft claims that he threw the fight because of mobsters. Now, that part is not in the movie. They decided not to.
And then he retired immediately after the fight.
Right. So I'm telling you, man, it's a very, very powerful film. It's really well done.
And I'm going to be vague about this, Aldo, because I don't want to spoil it for them if they want to watch it. Toward the end, there's a scene with a woman in him. Oh, my God. I cried my fucking ass off watching that.
I did too. I
mean, I was working at 911 watching that, just hoping the two women I was working with didn't notice that I was fucking bawling my eyes.
That's what you want when you call 911, is the operators crying before you even start talking. That's
I'm watching a movie about genocide and extermination of Jews. Where are you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm showing clips of the genocide here from the movie, and we're laughing. So hopefully people aren't watching this out of context.
Yeah, they're laughing about Schindler's List.
Oh my God, these guys are monsters.
Yeah. And I love the way it's shot. The cinematography is outstanding, and I simply cannot say enough about Ben Foster. Oh, and this woman that plays his love interest. There are two women in the movie. There was a fellow Holocaust victim.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that John Leguizamo?
John Leguizamo plays his boxing coach, and Danny DeVito plays a trainer.
The Mario Brothers are his people that help him out.
Yeah, Rocky. He plays a trainer for Rocky.
Somebody's got to get that reference.
He plays a trainer for Rocky Marciano, and he decides to help Henry Haft a little bit just because he's a fellow Jew. And Danny DeVito is absolutely fantastic, man. Anything Danny DeVito is in, I'm all in, man. I want to see that guy act more.
My favorite DeVito thing, he wasn't the main character, but I think he wrote it and directed it. He was in it, was with Edward Norton and Robin Williams, Death to Smoochie.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was fucking
hilarious.
I laughed for 2 hours.
Oh my gosh, you talk about a dark comedy. Death for Smoochie is it? It is outstanding. It really is.
Incredible. I can't believe it was a box office bomb because it was so fucking funny and dark and vulgar, man.
Yeah.
Robin Williams at his height, in my opinion.
Did we talk about Coda, Aldo?
We did talk about Coda.
Okay.
I still not. Well, no, actually, Zuch, you and I talked about it
Off air, right?
Yeah,
off air.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Survivor will make you cry, but Coda will make you cry too, but for different reasons. That's why it was probably not or won the best picture. But I can't recommend Coda enough. I mean, it's one of those movies that's, bittersweet. It's funny. It's touching. It's all about family. It's sad and it's happy and it's ultimately uplifting at the end, but in a great way. It's triumphant, and I think it'll be. It's just a great story. Coming of age has it all. So if you get a chance on Apple TV for free, you can see the Academy winner Coda, which stands for Child of Deaf Adults, and it's there's one girl in a family of 3 deaf. The rest of her family are all deaf, so she's their only link to the world of speaking folks. That she's like a vital component of the family. And they're the dad and the brother are fishermen in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and she gets up every day at 3, goes on the boat, and helps bring in the fish, and then she goes to high school, and then her dream was to be a singer, and her family cannot hear her sing. That's the irony of it.
Yeah,
and, man, it's a beautiful movie. If you guys get a chance to see Coda, man, I loved it. You'll cry.
Aaron is shaking his head.
Not my thing. No,
you're depriving yourself, man, of a great story and great characters and fantastic acting.
I guess it's just not my thing. I think I'd be bored out of my mind.
And I think you'll love it, man. It's the singing, the music is great.
Singing, music. Aaron says, "Fuck no."
No, for real. I hate singing. I cannot stand it if it's not in actual music. If it's in a movie or a TV show, I'll shut that shit down. I can't stand musicals.
Well, it's not a musical.
I don't care. I hate it. I don't like it at all. It drives me out.
It's all Motown, and it's great music.
Why would I want to listen to Motown? No.
Because Motown is awesome.
Are you kidding me, Aaron? Motown is the best music genre of all time.
The 60s and 70s were the best for me, period.
Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. Now you're really depriving yourself. If you
Marvin Gaye is the best, man.
Not my thing. No disrespect to it. It's just not my thing.
Dan, you say you don't like musicals either, but don't you?
No, but I don't mind Motown music.
Yeah, but
I just don't like country music or bluegrass. But yeah, Motown's fine. My mom listened to a lot of Motown, so I kind of grew up on that. So I have no opposition to Motown. But yeah, I hate musicals. Like, God, I watched that one with Tom Cruise about 10 years ago, where he was supposed to be playing like a musician. So I thought he was just playing a musician that might perform in the movie. But no, it's one of those, like, you could be like, I need a drink. And he's like, I need a drink. And they start to sing. And it's just like, why are they singing right now? It's called Rock of Ages. It's one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life.
I do think I have a movie for Aaron, though, that he will like. And it has Ben Foster in it. And it's called Pandorum. And it's Ben Foster wakes up. He doesn't know where he is. He's on a generation ship. A long ship that's traveling through space. He doesn't know whether he's.
I wanted to watch
Dennis. Dennis Quaid is in it.
Yeah,
and it's great, man. It's got a
Dennis
twist.
Quaid's kid is Huey in The Boys.
And I see people in the chat room. I love science fiction and stuff, so it's a science fiction movie.
I'll have to check that one. I actually remember coming across that one and I wanted to watch it. I just couldn't remember what it's called. I'll definitely watch it.
Really excellent movie, man.
Yes.
Not interested in watching. What about like rock documentary? Because you guys, Aaron.
Yeah. I love behind the music watching. It's one of my favorite things to watch. Is like, here's how this band came up. Oh, I watched the shit out of that. I love that kind of stuff.
I just watched the Muscle Shoals documentary. I don't know if people know the Muscle Shoals sound. Muscle Shoals was a town outside Alabama, and one guy had a dream. He was dirt poor of starting a recording studio, and he's the guy who ended up recording all the Motown stars. And his band was a bunch of high school kids, all white kids, who played they were the backing band for all the Motown hits in the late '60s, early '70s. The song is called "The Muscle Shoals Sound."
You mean white people stole black people's sound and made a killing off it? I don't think that's ever happened before.
That was the genesis of the Motown sound. It was, a collaboration between, people of different races.
We had this big discussion about a year ago with Elvis. You remember that, Aldo?
Yeah.
About him. Okay. There's ironically an Elvis movie coming out. The guy that played in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he played the guy Tex of the Manson family that was basically eaten alive by Brad Pitt's dog in the movie. You remember that?
I forgot that.
Yep. You don't remember Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? DiCaprio and Brad Pitt?
But I don't remember the scene with the dog being eaten.
He's at the end where the Manson family, where they normally would have attacked in real life Sharon Tate. In this instance, they go to DiCaprio and Brad Pitt.
Who was the actor that played Tex?
I'm looking.
Yeah, he was Tex, the guy that
Austin
Butler in the movie and killed there. But he's the guy playing Elvis.
Oh, I can see that.
The trailer for it on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Kind of looks like him.
Who is
I'm not a big Elvis guy,
Austin
but you all were
Butler.
talking about
I'll put a link in the chat.
Culture with music, and it made me think of that conversation we had about Elvis about a year ago.
And you guys, Tooch and Aaron, are you guys Elvis fans?
Elvis fans? Oh yeah, I did the whole Elvis tour not too long ago.
I do. I like Elvis. I'm not the biggest fan, but I do enjoy it when it's on. Yeah, my stepdad's a huge Elvis fan.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I did Graceland and the Elvis Museum, which is fantastic. And then drove like the short drive from Memphis to Tupelo, Mississippi for his boyhood home and the museum there and stuff. It's killer, man. Great story. You get the whole story of Elvis from his, birth, his early life up until his career and finally his death. And seeing the tour of his home was great, man.
Oh, but that was crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What about you, Dan?
I'm not a fan, but like I said about a year ago when we were bitching about that list.
Yeah, that's what I figured you're talking about. I remember that episode.
Yeah, about rock stars. I think he deserves his place for what he represented at the time, what he did for rock and roll. He's a pioneer.
Yeah.
Even if maybe he stole like a style from African Americans, what have you, he took it and made it his own. It's not like he was lip syncing or something.
Right.
And it's just like he took another coach's game plan, perhaps, and used the same system. But I thought, what he represented at the time was pretty magical. Same thing with the Beatles. I'm not really a Beatles fan, but I can respect what they did and what they represented.
Yeah.
So that's my view on Elvis. He deserves so much respect, but it's not for me.
There is a new Elvis movie coming out.
That's what I was just.
Yeah, Aldo was just saying that.
Oh, and did you see?
Dan was saying that. My bad.
Did you see the movie that Baz Luhrmann did before Moulin Rouge?
Baz Luhrmann?
Marissa made me watch that. I didn't like it if I saw it. Is that the Christina Aguilera playing that?
No, she was in the music video of the title
song. Oh, no, that's totally what I thought too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no. She had a bunch of.
She was in with Cher that was awful that I had to watch. Burlesque.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, Moulin Rouge is just, even if you don't want to listen to the music, just watch the movie. Visually, it is
beautiful,
stunning.
Yeah, my ex made me watch that.
Baz Luhrmann is an outstanding director. He's the guy that's doing the new Elvis movie. I apologize, Dan, I missed that when you mentioned it.
Yeah, I was telling you the guy from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is who's playing Elvis.
Gotcha.
He played the guy Tex that got eaten by the dog when the Manson family attacked DiCaprio and Brad Pitt.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, and it's weird. Would you see that guy as Elvis? Because I don't. But apparently
I didn't. But as soon as I saw the trailer, I knew who he was. I was like, "That's the guy from the Tarantino movie." Hey, real quick, I know I'm bouncing off.
That's all right.
I watched that movie. I had never seen it. I'd seen it on, but never focused on it. with Tarantino in it and all these great actors, Bruce Willis, Tim Roth, all the people that of his kind of early roster of movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dreadful, called Four Rooms from 1995. I really, really did not like it. It was an hour and a half of like, what the fuck, man? Why am I watching this?
Is that the 4 short stories with Tim Roth as the bellhop?
Yeah, it sucked.
Right.
It was so bad.
Okay, I like that.
3 other directors in there. Do you recall who they were besides Tarantino?
One of them's Eli Roth, I think, right? Or no, Robert Rodriguez.
Okay, they do a lot of collaboration.
I thought one was Almodovar. I thought one with Antonio Banderas.
Okay,
the short story with
that movie sucked.
The children.
It got terrible reviews, so that's probably why I never saw it. But
it was horrible, horrible.
I liked it.
The collaboration that Rodriguez and Tarantino did,
Grindhouse.
I love Grindhouse. Fucking loved it.
Killer, man.
Unbelievable. It is so effing good. I lived through that area, going to Chicago area theaters in the near northwest side, where the floors were sticky, where there was sperm stains on the seats, and the movie prints were so fucking scratchy, and there were scenes missing from movies. I grew up in movie theaters like that, and would go to downtown to watch all of the blaxploitation movies, the McVickers Theater and the Oriental Theater. I think all those theaters. The Oriental's there now as a theater play, a theater house. But so I grew up in that era. So when they came out with Grindhouse, it was like I was at home, man. I was in a pristine movie theater, but I was still looking around for rats in the theater, just like I did when I was a kid watching these Grindhouse movies. It is fantastic. I got multiple DVD versions of it because I'm a super fan of that era of movies and those gritty, low budget, violent movies with lots of titties and stuff.
I love the fake trailers in between the two films.
That's what I was gonna say. It was a double feature with like trailer commercials in between. It was great.
Mm-hmm. And one of them was made into a movie, Machete.
Yeah,
Machete.
Two of them. Two of them
Danny Trejo.
They made a terrible film with Rutger Hauer called Hobo with a Shotgun was made into a film, but that one wasn't in the original theatrical release. They cut it.
It writes itself. Hobo with a Shotgun.
Well, it was in the DVD release or something. It was an added trailer that was cut from the original release.
Right.
But that one was turned into a movie, and so was Machete. And I thought the one that they should have turned into a movie was that Thanksgiving one.
Yes.
Like with the girls jumping on the trampoline and land her vagina straight on the knife. I was like, ooh, god damn. Like that was intense.
I can see why you like Marilyn Manson.
Did you see that Hateful Eight?
You know what? I have that on Blu-ray. I still have not watched. I think
it's really good, man.
Seen yet.
I went to the
Hateful Eight.
The Hateful Eight
I saw it in the theater. I love it.
Right. Yeah. Did you go, like, Dan, when you saw it in the theater? Because like when I went, they had a booklet that you got when you got to the theater.
Oh, cool!
Like a souvenir booklet, that detailed like the making of the movie and all this stuff, like a collector's item and stuff. And then it had intermission. It had like a prelude, a music by Ennio Morricone, the prelude.
Wow!
And then the first act.
It wasn't like that for me.
Oh, okay. Wow. It was like
I saw it on New Year's Day, 2015, in the theater, January 1st of 15 with Marissa, and it just was a straight film. Like it didn't have like a Godfather 2 kind of intermission. It just went straight through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a killer movie. And then Netflix broke it up into like 4 episodes or something recently. I think it's still on there. I don't know whether it broke up into sections so you could watch it like serialized. The Hateful Eight, Aldo. If that's more,
I definitely watched it in the theater. I've seen every Tarantino movie in the theater after, starting with Jackie Brown. Like I was too young and Pulp Fiction wasn't at my local theater, so I couldn't drive to a nearby town or anything because I was 13. But starting with Jackie Brown, I've seen every Tarantino film in the theater.
What's funny about that Pulp Fiction is I used to buy vinyl and CDs up the ass, and so I'm browsing around and movie soundtracks, and I pick up the CD. It's Pulp Fiction, and
It's great. It's great.
It's got the picture of Uma Thurman on it, as she's got a gun and smoking a cigarette. And I love, again, that era film noir, Pulp Fiction kind of stuff. So I bought the CD, I put it in the car, and I loved the soundtrack. And I said, I can't fucking wait to see this movie. So the day that it's released here in Chicago, a date and we went to see the movie, and we had the fucking time of our lives. We enjoyed that movie so fucking much, and it was obvious that what we had just witnessed was a filmmaker of incredible talent, a unique voice, a unique way of telling stories. He was never in a fucking hurry to get through scenes. He would have these long dialogue scenes. He was telling the story out of sequence. It was mixed in with this fantastic soundtrack. He had all these great actors in it, and I was like, holy shit, who is this fucking Quentin Tarantino? And lo and behold, man, the guy has become one of the masters of cinema.
As soon as Uma was brought back, with the injection into the heart with Eric Stoltz and Travolta. As soon as that happened, like the rest of the movie could have bombed and been shitty, I would have still said it was a great movie because of that one scene. Of course, I love the whole movie.
Yeah.
But he's working on his last movie, isn't it?
Yeah, he claims this is his 10th film will be his last. Yeah. Now, he has speculated openly as to what he might want to do. I don't think he's made any definite plans. But one of them was to do and I'm forgetting what movie it was.
Another Kill Bill, which I hope he does not do.
Yeah, that would suck.
And wasn't there another movie he said?
A Star Trek film.
Oh my gosh, no, please.
No, there was one. I thought that was rumored to, like, that was a possibility. Actually, there was I think a Godzilla version he was gonna Quentin Tarantino a long time ago was attached to, which I would have lost my fucking head. I would have been pissed.
Now, I don't think he's going to retire at all. I think he might make one last feature film and say he's done 10 feature films, but he's going to do like long series stuff. He's going to make streaming movies and so forth. And I think he's going to couch that around, getting over this promise that he was only going to make 10 features. There's no fucking way he's going to retire at his age.
As much as I love Pulp Fiction, and I did, and I've seen it probably 50 times in the last 30 years now, since it dropped in 94. I don't think I got to see it until 95, because back then it took like 6 months for a video to hit VHS after the theater, so I think I saw it in 95. But my point being, as much as I love that film, I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is his best movie.
I would agree. I wonder if I think he has said that's his finest movie, but I always thought that he might say Inglourious Bastards just because
that's good too.
Just because of that final scene as the one character is doing his scalping and then Brad Pitt.
The swastika.
Yes. A swastika on the forehead, right? And the characters, Brad Pitt and the other guy saying, I think this might be your best work. Yeah, you're a masterpiece. And so I took that to mean that Tarantino was telling the audience, this is my masterpiece. And that movie really is a masterpiece. Inglourious Basterds, outstanding.
And the German, I don't know if he's really German, but the guy that plays the German won Best Supporting Actor for that and for Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Yes, Christoph Waltz.
Another guy, right? Who I guess if you were not into international cinema, knew nothing about, right?
Yep.
This guy just popped into the scene and he was sensational, man. And you could tell English wasn't his first language, but he enunciates all of the English words with such perfection, and he just does such a great job of storytelling. Oh man, he's fabulous. Tarantino has an eye for talent. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He got to play a good guy in Django Unchained.
That's right.
Went from playing the bad guy in Inglourious Bastards, and then played the good guy in Django Unchained. And you remember the Inglourious Bastards also had Michael Fassbender.
Yes,
one of the spies. Who's he's like speaking German, and of course they catch on to him, and he's like, well, if I'm gonna die, I'd rather go out speaking the kings.
I love it. Well done. Well done. Yeah, I always thought Michael Fassbender would have been great as the next James Bond, but time may have passed him by, and now I'm pulling for Idris Elba to be the next Bond.
Both those guys are getting a little up in age. I think Idris Elba's like 50, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Daniel Craig is probably around 60, right?
He's like, I think he's 50 also, or 51.
Quick
50 or 51.
story, quick anecdote about Inglourious Bastards, because I'm hoping we can talk about Winning Time before I go.
Sure.
But that's the only movie that I attended at the theater. It was the first showing because I had to work that day. I went to the noon showing the first day it opened. And it's the only movie I've ever been at. I wasn't a part of it, what I'm about to say, but a group of guys stood up and started clapping at the end during the swastika cutscene. It's the only movie I've been at where a standing ovation happened by other people at the theater.
Isn't that cool?
It was really cool.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
I've experienced that a handful of times where you're in a movie theater, at the end there's applause. I don't know if ever a standing ovation, but applause. And that's just, to me, I love watching movies with an audience that appreciates good cinema. I'll spend time like watching people's reactions to certain scenes because I want to see if they're enjoying it as much as I am. I just love that. I really miss I haven't been to a movie theater in years now. I got to get back into that because I really enjoy that social experience of watching a movie together in the dark with strangers. All right, Dan, let's talk a little bit about Winning Time. Tooch told me before the show rolled that he thought this episode wasn't as good as the last one, but he still is enjoying it. What say you, Mr. Dan Aguirre?
I kind of dug it. The thing with his mom, with Sally Field, was I don't know if it's real, if that's really juxtaposing the Lakers' initial playoff series, but the way it was written in the script there was very dramatic and very well done. And you can feel his pain because, well, I can't assume anyone else has lost their mom, but I've lost both of my parents, so I know how he felt. And I had empathy for his character.
Dan, let me interrupt you quickly, just for the sake of people who have not been watching the show. When you say he and
I'm sorry, it's Dr. Jerry Buss.
Right. Go ahead.
Dr. Jerry Buss's character, played by the guy from all the Will Ferrell movies, Michael C. Riley.
John C. Riley.
John C. Riley.
John C. Riley. Sorry. I was about to.
From Brother Rice High School, right on the south side of Chicago.
That's right. He's a Chicagoan. That's right.
Well, in the episode, his mother, I think at the end they pull the plug.
Yes.
I believe that's what was referenced, and she's played by Sally Field. And that was pretty sad. And then you had the drama still escalating between Jason Segel's character of Paul Westhead and Adrian Brody playing Pat Riley. And are they going to get to continue on even though they've put this team over the top? Or is, Jack McKinney coming back? And then finally we see McKinney is still having cognitive issues.
Oof.
And I think the way the show portrays it looks like John C. Riley went to his house or Dr. Buss to give him the gig.
Yeah.
And he saw that he didn't recognize him. So he was like, fuck, I guess I'll have to give it to Westhead because he was really torn. They showed Jerry West again in a poor light. Like he can't make a decision. He just sat there screaming and yelling, fuck, man, fuck you. You want me to make this decision? Just like, God, man, they just continually shit on Jerry West. But maybe like the article you showed me, if all that stuff is true, maybe his lawsuit is frivolous. I don't know. I'm not even talking about that part of it. But within the episode, they made Jerry West look pretty impotent with regards to being able to make a decision, considering he's supposed to be an executive.
Well, yeah, it was kind of one of the things, and I'd love to read Jeff Pearlman's book to get more of the facts, is Bill Sharman was a general manager of the team, and he's rarely in the fucking show. And when he shows up, it's like, somebody just called him in from a nap. He's got no input at all on what the coaching decision. He's got no input at all on the team. He's sort of like the de facto. Well, Jerry West is the de facto general manager in essence. The Jerry Buss character never goes to Bill Sharman, former great Laker player who became the general manager of the team. Never goes to him asking him, what should I do with the coaching job? That to me just seemed like, okay, if you're going to get some of the facts wrong here or purposely wrong, that seems like a little out there. Why even have the character? I mean, they've eliminated so many characters. The coaching staff is just a coach and the assistant coach. There's nobody else on that bench. I don't think that was the reality back then. But again, I don't have a problem with the way some of these characters are depicted. Like Dwayne Corey is saying, winning time makes West look like a prick. I think that this is all Hollywood screenwriting. You know, you start with a character at one place, and then you got to have an arc where they transform themselves. And so we're seeing that with Jerry West, and that he started off as this kind of neurotic, suicidal, depressed. And a lot of that stuff is true, according to Jerry West's own autobiography. And then now you're seeing him giving great advice to Magic Johnson that is going to help him become a winner. And then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he starts off as a loner, disgruntled and stuff. And a lot of that stuff is true. Jabbar was really upset with society at large and being treated like an abnormal giant, and you'll see him as the season ends. He's going to embrace Magic Johnson and hug him and stuff. So all of this is Hollywood 101 screenwriting. His character starts here, and he's got this arc where he ends up here, and so it is what it is. If you want the facts, then watch a documentary or read the book. So it doesn't bother me.
One thing that was really interesting, but not true, that they changed around that I looked up, was the stuff with Spencer Haywood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He actually was cut from the team by Westhead.
Yes.
After or heading into the third game of the 80 finals. But on the show, they make it seem like they had a team meeting and Westhead told the players, it's your team, you make the decision, because he was struggling with addiction. And Kareem had told him earlier in the episode, you've got one more chance. So within the show, Kareem is the deciding vote to kick him off the team, and then they show Spencer asking a drug dealer to kill all of the Lakers. And I read that the real guy allegedly went to a mafia dude in Detroit and tried to get a hit on Westhead for cutting him.
That I did not know. I knew about that he was fired by Westhead or cut by Westhead, but I didn't know that whole mafia thing. Holy shit, tell me more.
Oh, that's that link you sent me, like Screen Rant or something?
Yeah, right.
They had the comparison, the juxtaposition from what the show said and what really happened.
Right.
The breakdown, they did that on this week's episode as well. Mm-hmm. And it was within that article where they talk about he went to a mafia figure to put a hit out on Westhead after he was released. I wonder if they gave him a ring since he was there. I mean, he made it to the third game of the finals. He's entitled to a ring, right?
And knowing Jerry Buss, or at least the way the show depicts him, I'm sure he would have given him a ring.
I would think so. His whole character just wanted a ring to impress his son so badly. So I hope he really did get it.
Now that they've renewed the show for a second season, where do you hope the show goes? Do you want to see it's natural that they showed the Celtics Lakers series and cover that whole.
That's still a few years away. I would think they would have to touch the Magic said his determining point of his career, the most important part of his career was not the game he has to play center, but it was after Westhead is fired when the team says, you're the reason Westhead got fired, and half the team was pissed about it. So he said that he felt like a made man when they won that championship with Pat Riley in '82, because it's like he had this prima donna attitude from the other members of the team, and he sort of they didn't respect him, thinking, he's just a high-paid fucking, one-hit wonder, and he got our coach fired. But when he delivered with another championship, it felt like the people just respected him. So I feel like they'd have to show that.
I would think so,
even
too.
though that finals in '82 was really boring. If you've seen those games, God damn, it was a boring series.
Man, you watched a lot of NBA back in that era, huh?
Well, I was two, or still one. I hadn't even turned two when that happened, but I've watched those old games, at least the majority of them, yes. But that Philly series in '82 was dreadful. Then the next year, Worthy's hurt, and the Sixers picked up Moses too from the Rockets, so they sweep the Lakers in '83.
What do you guys think, Tooch and Aaron? I take it you're not watching Winning Time, huh?
No, I like listening to you guys. I like Dan's thing, and I like you guys talk about it. I like the debate you guys have just with how the show's done. It's not my kind of show. I don't know that I would watch it, but I've that's actually been one of my favorite parts of the episode is listening to you guys break it down.
Yeah, it's not something I would think first to watch, but man, I really love it. I just, I'm not a Lakers fan at all, but I love the story behind the scenes, whether it's true or not. But I don't care whether. I mean, it's a dramatization. Like Aldo said, based on real events, that they take some liberties with it to make it palatable for an HBO audience. Yeah, they do. They add in all the rock star party glitz and glam and drama behind the scenes to make it to get the viewers to come back every week.
Hey, Aldo, one more thing before I go, since I got to go to my other job, unfortunately. I wish I could stay here all night, but and you'll know. I don't know. Maybe Toots too. I don't know if Aaron would really remember this part, but I thought that the guy playing Brent Musburger was horrible.
He was horrible.
Yeah, it was horrible.
God, it's like they didn't even try to make him sound like Brent at all. At least most of the characters, with the exception of the Richard Pryor guy, they make him look like him. Maybe not necessarily sound like him, but the guy that was portraying Brent was just awful.
He was. I mean, golly. I mean, yeah, that was terrible casting. And there's been some casting decisions that I would question. Hey, before you go, Dan, I want to share with people some of the stuff that we were talking about in terms of maybe doing our own parody of the 2010 Chicago Bears season and making it like Winning Time, where we are not going to tell the true story. Some of the things be like Jay Cutler really wins that game against the Green Bay Packers and doesn't have that injury, things like that. Wouldn't that be cool?
We can make Olin Kreutz Jerry West.
There's the theme music from Winning Time. Well, watch the Dan Aguirre version of the 2010 season, where he's going to take all of the facts and mutilate them, and the Chicago Bears will go on to the Super Bowl.
Oh, that'd be great if we could rewrite that.
Oh, how about it, brother? Dan, you're expecting a heavy night tonight? A lot of
yeah, we've had a problem with shootings recently. I bet we've had 5 shootings in the last week or so. So yeah, there was one again earlier today, from what I'm told. So I assume there's still more of that.
So is this because the weather is warming up and crime goes up? Is that kind of thing?
I don't know what the correlation is. Maybe I don't know. I can't explain it. I just know that it seems to keep happening. But lastly, on the Brent Musburger thing,
yeah,
the part that made it so dramatically sticking out to me as God, this is bad, as Brent was so specific with his mannerisms that it would almost be easier to imitate him, because you're just you're looking live, if you could just get his voice right. But he said certain things that would make it easier to do an impression.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy didn't even try. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I know it's a little thing, but I thought the only criticism, other than, the points or the games or switching outcomes and stuff like that I have for the show, is that the guy portraying Richard Pryor and the guy doing Brent Musburger were just not even trying. Just awful. It'd be like if we tried to cast Jay Cutler and showed instead me. Or maybe somebody else, a big rugged lineman, John Tate, or somebody that just doesn't look like Cutler at all. It's the way it felt like to me. It was just maybe it was an inside joke. I don't know, man. I digress, but I thought the guy doing Brent was horrible.
He was horrible. I think the guy doing Chick Hearn is a little bit on the annoying side, although based on stories David Schuster told me, Chick Hearn really was annoying. But I just remember Chick Hearn having a different persona than the one that's being portrayed. So I'm not too keen on that. There are a couple of other casting decisions that I might quibble
with. That Dick
with.
on the Celtics radio seems spot on.
The Johnny Most character. Yes.
God, he was I could see him dropping the N-word on the radio back in the day.
Yep, indeed. All right, get out of here. Go save some lives. Go solve some crimes and stuff like that.
All right, last thing I'll say, gentlemen, it'd be great if we could really make that game thing happened in the fall.
Check out what the schedule comes out with.
I will drive out, Danny.
This Thursday. 1 week from Thursday is when the schedule comes out.
1 week from this Thursday, we'll be covering it here on the Bottom Room Network. John Buffone is hosting a schedule release show. So if you guys want to jump in and share your thoughts on the schedule, that would be outstanding.
All right, gentlemen, I got to go. Thank you all.
Bye, Danny.
Take it easy, man.
What a guy. Dan Aguirre, also known as Dan McMahon, in his West Virginia radio job. He changed his name at the request of the station manager. Didn't particularly like the Aguirre name. It sounded too ethnic. And so Dan on this podcast, I love Jim McMahon, so I call myself Dan McMahon. So he's an award-winning broadcaster out there, and it's too bad. All the awards say Dan McMahon. It's like, sounds like a kick in the butt to me.
Right. He
Right?
wins every year too, right?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yep.
Jordan says Dan McMahon and his sex life. Ha ha ha. Yeah, it really is. I mean, there should be a mini-series done on Dan McMahon's life. And we can change some of the facts and to make it a little bit more dramatic. Like he's also a superhero.
There you go. Yeah. I don't know if he'd watch it though if it had superheroes in it.
Exactly. Aaron, what from a superhero standpoint have you seen and want to share with somebody, with our audience? Because we've got someone in the audience named Cliff Victoria who is a massive superhero fan.
You know, I've been seeing his comments. The last thing I saw was the Moon Batman movie, which I enjoyed. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did like it. I did like it. God, and it's if me from 5-6 years ago could hear me, he wouldn't believe that it was me. But I'm so marveled out, dude. I haven't seen any of the new shows.
Oh man,
I did see Spider-Man Far From Home and liked that one. I saw the Eternals and liked that one, but like they're starting to pull the bullshit. It's why I stopped reading comics. It's like up to get Fantastic Four episode or issue number 38. You have to read, the Incredible Hulk issue number 47. Like they're starting to tie everything in together, which I get. They used to with the movies, but the movies was a palatable chunk. But now it's like well, you have to, in order to understand Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, you have to watch WandaVision and you have to watch What If, because there's components of both. I was like, I get fucked. I don't want to have to sit through 6 hours of material to watch 2 hours and understand what the fuck is going on.
I couldn't get into What If, man. I thought it was boring as heck.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything Marvel other than the things I've mentioned. I'm so fucking packed out on Marvel. Like for me, it ended with
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. I like the comics, but I think in the show too, I prefer the straightforward.
Moon
Mark
Knight
Spector.
story.
I like his Mark Spector. He's Khonshu, and they do the thing, not like the psychological. Oh, am I this or am I this or am I actually crazy or do I have? I can't. It's too.
I like the show. I've struggled with that aspect of it, the dual personality part of Moon Knight. But.
Yeah, it's too jarring for me. But one of my best friends is a diehard Moon Knight fan, and the people who know Moon Knight love it. So there's something to be said about that. But as far as, and it's for the rest, because I love Doctor Strange, he's one of my top favorites. But like, I don't want to have to see a bunch of stuff to know what's going on. And that's the more this goes on with the series, it's too much. Like, I don't want to have to be told you have, like the old movies. It's like you'd have 1 or 2 movies a year, and like I could do that. I could sit down for a 2-hour movie, but it's like, oh, this is a 10-episode series, and you have to pay attention to, I don't know how long the episodes are, but it's to be a part of it. It's requiring so much anymore, and that's just for me.
How about the Star Wars stuff? Did you watch that stuff?
The
Book of
new
Boba
movies,
Fett.
No, I'm not.
Mandalorian.
I'm not a big Star Wars fan. I think Boba Fett's super overrated.
The
Really?
Obi-Wan Kenobi story.
Well, not the show, but also Boba Fett the character. Like I don't understand the big deal about it, but
Okay.
Obi-Wan's I'll watch. I like that because that's back from Star Wars, and
Aldo has the last
before my time,
last printed issue of Entertainment Weekly with Ewan McGregor on the cover as Ben Kenobi.
Yeah, that's right.
That series comes out in I think just a few days.
Mhm.
Is it? Nice.
So,
Very good.
I can't tell you how upset I am that Entertainment Weekly is now ceasing publication. I know they're still going to be online, but
Me too. It was like half my job.
Yeah, that sucks for you more than anybody else.
I'm still doing the Entertainment Weekly like bookazines. Like I'm
Oh,
doing.
you're still doing those?
I'm doing Stranger Things, and I just did a RuPaul one. Finished that wrap today, and then I'm doing EW Ultimate Guide to Stranger Things, which looks pretty good, man. The magazine's going to be good if you're a fan of the show, man. It's got everything in there, including sneak peek at season 4 and like all the new characters and the new storylines. I shouldn't be giving this away and stuff, but looks pretty good. Those kids, they look a lot older. They look like college kids now.
That's a problem with that, especially because it took so much. But so many of them went and did so many different things. It's just like it's
right.
It's a bummer. I haven't watched that much lately either. That one kind of that one was just a nostalgia thing. Yeah. Remember the malls? Huh? Remember these things? Like look at this. It's like. That's basically what it amounted out to. You know, it's anybody that talked about Stranger Things didn't talk about how good the show was. They talked about the things that it brought up.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's Stranger Things, and I appreciate the cultural phenomenon because it really took off. But for me, it was literally that's felt like what it was.
Although, did you watch Stranger Things?
Season 1, and I loved it, and I watched a bunch of heard a bunch of podcasts talking about it. Really, really loved it, and just I'm really bad at returning back to season 2s of season that I like. I'm just bad at it because I want to consume new stuff, you know, and so but like I want to go back and watch season 2 of Ozarks. I want to go back and watch season 2 of Stranger Things and a number of other shows.
Well, Ozark would be good too because it's done after this season. So, like, if you finish it, then you keep going all the way through and not have another, big gap between everything.
Season 4 might be the best one, man. It's so good.
Oh wow, that's good to hear.
I'm enjoying a lot. Then, of course, on your recommendation, I watched The Man Who Fell to Earth, and
I was just going to mention that because we've got one for you, Aaron.
It's HBO Max, is it, or Apple TV? It's Apple TV.
No, it is on Showtime.
Showtime. Yep.
Yeah. So
it's
based on the old movie that has been remade a number of times, but this
with
one
David Bowie.
Yeah, that's right. This one has a more unique twist on it, I think, than any of the other versions. Wouldn't you say, Tooch?
Yeah, it's been modernized. I love it, man. The main actor, Chiwetel Ejiofor, man, he's killer. So good in this, man. It's like he's like an alien learning to act like a human, learning how to speak like a human and stuff.
Cool.
There's some really funny moments, man. And then he's got his mission. You know, a lot of people think he's on the spectrum or crazy or something. They don't know. They can't believe.
Oh, he was He was Mordo in Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
he's been in a ton of movies. Usually plays a bad guy. Was the most famous movie I think he won an award for? It was 12 Years a Slave. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, and so as Tooch is saying, he does seem like he is mentally impaired because as he's learning the new language that we speak here on Earth, he will say the weirdest, the craziest things, and he's also honest to a fault, and so that gets him in a lot of trouble. He's got these incredible superpowers, and he is searching for this woman who has written a paper that could help save the planet that he's from. But there's also a parallel storyline about the person who brought this alien to Earth, and it's a former CEO of the scientific company who lost his company and now wants the alien to help him get the company back. That storyline is a bit more obscure right now, but it is truly fascinating with fantastic special effects and super acting.
Cool. Yeah, it looks dope.
Yeah. Tucci, you're a fan so far after 2 episodes, huh?
I love it, man. It's killer. Yeah. So good, man. The actor who plays like the alien that came before, his adept, his teacher, It's played by Bill Nighy, the actor who played Billy Mack
There
in
you
Love
go.
Actually.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Love Actually, it's a great movie. But he's like the rock star that has one last great hit, and great ensemble cast and separate stories in that show. But he's in this as well.
Was he in Underworld, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's where I recognize him.
Yep,
From.
he was like the head leader vampire,
the main vampire in the first one, right?
Yep.
Any of you guys seen Hostiles with Christian Bale?
Yes.
What is that about?
That was great. That's a Civil War movie, and Christian Bale's like a Civil War captain who does the dirty things to get the job done. All the stuff that we don't like to talk about in war.
Jesse Plemons is in it. He's great. Rosamund Pike, she's outstanding too.
Oh yeah.
King Pookie Nation is asking about Halo. Have you guys seen Halo?
No, I heard good things though. I think it's
watched the first episode. It was okay, but not enough to hook me back yet. Although I'm tempted. The more I see it pop up, that reminding me that hey, you can go back to Halo. But haven't. It was okay. It's a little low budget.
What's Swanky saying here? Swanky says he's got to take a chef to his
chief
to his homeland.
Right. Yeah. In Hostiles. Yeah.
Okay.
He's taking an Indian chief back. Of course, he doesn't like Indians because he's been killing them for throughout the whole war. He's got a little, but learns to respect the culture and people. But yeah, it's great, man.
Cool. Yeah, check that out if you can, Aaron. We'd have to get your take on that. And Aaron, I wanted to ask you, you're talking about you're a lover of comic books. Tell me what is going on in the comic book industry right now that us laymen of the industry should know about. There was, by the way, on CBS Sunday Morning, the news magazine show, they did a feature on a comic book reader who has read every Marvel comic book ever published, like some 20,000 comics. Yeah. But anyway, I would love to get your take on what's happening with the comic book industry right now.
Man, I couldn't answer. Like I said, I haven't for the longest time. I haven't read anything comics. I know Marvel did what DC didn't, and at least, but it's been going on for a while now. They've really switched out the characters. The people who, it's like a new Avengers. It sounds terrible, but it's like a Benetton ad of people anymore. The Hulk that they got now is a Korean kid. The new Iron Man is Iron Heart, and it's Riri Williams is a younger black girl. What you'll see in the series coming up, I think, Miss Marvel's a Muslim girl. So they're really kind of diversifying, which is great. Good for them. I mean, I don't. As a white dude, I've never had an issue with having representation in these kinds of mediums. So it's like they're really going for all that kind of stuff. I mean, the new Thor movie is going to have a female Thor. So it's kind of there. But other than that, I mean, recently, I'm not sure. But I know Marvel's really going for the diversifying their kind of their core heroes, it seems like.
Right. Well, as a kid, I loved comic books, and as I got older, I got into graphic novels, and still will pick up a graphic novel from time to time. It's a gorgeous medium, and I wish it wasn't overlooked by so many people. I mean, in Japan, you take a train in Japan, and 80% of the businessmen are reading a comic book.
Yeah,
it's
manga is what they call it over there. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but here in the United States, it's always been frowned upon. I'll never forget watching, 1960s, 70s TV, and the mom would always say, "Put that comic book away."
Rot in your brain. Yeah.
But
Totally.
your kid is reading, and he's reading something he enjoys. Don't you see?
Even as recently as me, man, I got my butt kicked in school, and all the way through high school, I got made fun of for being a nerd. What are you doing, superhero shirt nerd? Now it's the fucking cool thing. I'm like, you kids don't understand. Don't understand how hard it was to get this stuff to come out. Yeah.
It all
I
comes
sound like
back.
I'm only 33, but I'm like this. Like you couldn't do that shit without, either getting your ass kicked or like being made fun of for like liking those kinds of things,
There you go, Aaron.
Legend of Vox.
Seen it. Fucking loved it. I've watched it twice. I laughed my ass off.
Although you would love it too. It's funny as hell. It's like it's kind of dirty. It's like
Dungeons and Dragons, but like the characters are kind of far out there.
Also, do you remember Ralph Bakshi?
Yes, absolutely.
Fritz the Cat and Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a riff on that, but kind of modernized and stuff. It's
killer.
It's like sexy.
Yeah.
There's balls and dicks.
Yeah, it's so good, dude. I love that show.
I actually recently recorded on my DVR some of those 1970s adult cartoons like American Pop and Heavy Metal.
American Pop is so good.
Yeah.
Great story.
Adult cartoons, and there was a few of them that I saw in movie theaters, at the Uptown Movie Theater on the north side of Chicago with tons of marijuana smoke in the theater. I felt so at home.
Man, speaking of adult comics, there's a show that's actually, I just found out yesterday, it's coming out third season, May 20th, called Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah, it's great.
They're like, the first season's got like 18 episodes, but they're they're 10 to 20 minutes long. There was. Well, yeah, there's a third season, so you'd think there's a second one.
Yeah, I missed it. I didn't know there was a third season.
There's a third season coming out in May, later this month on the 20th. So they're like anywhere. I don't think there's any stats short, but I haven't come across, or at least can't remember any that are over 20 minutes. And it's like different studios doing, and they're so good. Like they start a story and they go all the way through in like these 15 minutes. And there's one in particular that's like 17 minutes. And it gets I'll watch 1,000 times. It gets my heart pumping. It's like so crazy where, but it's graphic. Like the one my girlfriend was napping on the couch.
Yeah.
And I was watching it and it got to this next episode and this chick, you could see her bush and you could see her butt and her tits, and she's like running and they're bouncing and jiggling, and she rolls over and wakes up, and I'm like, I forgot it was this bad. But like there's a bunch of nudity in it. There's one that's like 17 minutes long that's fucking killer. It's about the war in like Afghanistan and Iraq, somewhere in the Middle East, and there's like the normal American soldiers, but then there's also, I guess the slang term is dog soldiers. They're soldiers, but they're like lichens. They can turn into half dog, half humans.
Yeah.
And that's got like, naked dudes in it, but like the animation on some of this is incredible. The other one's the one I was talking about too. Have you seen the first season?
Yeah, first season's
with the
great.
Giant robots fighting the aliens.
Yeah,
is
and
the
farmers
gets me every time. It's
That's
like
a good one too.
The animation, the scenes they play out, and like the actors and the music and everything. It's just like, I know it's gonna fucking happen, but I'm just on the edge of my seat every time. It's so well done.
Which one is it, Aaron?
Love, Death, and Robots.
Oh, gotta watch that.
It's good. First season was really good.
And then, well, like I said, the nice thing about it too is there's short.
I don't
episodes.
remember the second season.
The second season, The second season was good. I haven't watched it in a while, but in my head, the first season sticks out more.
Oh yeah.
Which doesn't mean the second season one is as good. I just don't remember it quite as well. And
Heavy Metal's the reference back to the Ralph Bakshi and the Vox Machina.
Mm-hmm.
But the little gnome that plays the guitar in Vox Machina, it's so funny, man.
Yeah.
It's like Scanlan's hand. It's like this magical giant hand that does all this stuff for him.
That one's good. I like that one quite a bit. Yeah,
it's
but
funny.
like I said, the nice thing about Love, Death, and Robots is they're small episodes, little chunks. But
His songs are hilarious too, Aldo.
Yeah.
Gnome. It's like they're dirty and fucking. They're like rock anthems with a bunch of dirty lyrics and stuff.
Where do I find this?
Vox
Amazon Prime.
Okay. And Love, Death, and Robots is Netflix.
I couldn't stop watching Vox Machina, man. It was so funny. It was good too. The story was great.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously wow. Did you see if there's going to be season 2 yet?
I think so. I don't know.
I'm sure there is. I think it's pretty popular.
We got a question here from King Pookie Nation who wants to know how long it took you to grow that beard.
Shit. I mean, I've had it for 10 plus years. I usually don't let it get out this long, but it's been growing in pretty well. So my left side doesn't grow in quite as well as the right, but I've been trimming it up and just kind of keeping it flowing. So this is this is not 10 years of growth. I've been letting it grow out for the past 7 or 8 months, and it's gotten pretty good. So, yeah.
King Pookie shared with me a picture of him with a beard almost that length, and he looks exactly like Fidel Castro. Exactly.
That's funny.
I told him, stay out of Cuban neighborhoods. Stay out of Cuban neighborhoods.
It wouldn't be very popular over there.
Tooch, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say my beard, like when it's dark, it's all patchy, like gray and black. So I let my wife color. She likes this Filipino hair dye. It's way too fucking dark, now.
Let's see this thing.
So it's like, yeah.
Oh yeah,
let my wife do it for me, but usually I do it myself. But I mean, and then while I was sitting, with it setting, my mom calls me and my son, and they're both arguing and shit. So I forgot how long I had it on. Now it's like fucking, it's like jet black.
Funny.
That's hilarious. I like it though, Tooch. It looks good.
It looks good.
Yeah, it's a little dark. I like kind of.
You can pull it off. You can pull it off. I would.
I look way too young because I'm fucking 53 years old. So
I would add an eye patch though. If you added an eye patch, you'd be one bad motherfucker, man. I'd fly you to Chicago, so we'd go into some tough bars. We'd be safe.
I look like Falconetti. Remember from Rich Man Poor Man?
Eddie Falconetti from Rich Man Poor Man. Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte. What was the other guy's name?
Robert Strauss.
Robert Strauss, and I forgot who played Falconetti. He was always a bad guy.
Yes, always a bad guy.
Always a bad guy.
It's unfortunate we don't remember his name because he didn't go on to.
And I hated that guy, and he fucking, he fucking got the guy. He fucking did the deed in the end. You're like, God damn it, Falconetti.
Rich Man, Poor Man, one of the first television miniseries ever on ABC TV. Award winning. If you're into that kind of stuff, check it out because I remember it very well and I've always wanted to watch it again, but I'm always kind of afraid. Is it going to hold up? Yeah, right. Exactly. There are some things that you watch once and then that's enough, even though you like it a lot.
Roots, Rich Man, Poor Man, and there was Shogun with Richard Chamberlain. Those were like the early miniseries.
That's right.
The birth of the miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Absolutely. Those 3 were the biggies,
Yeah. But yeah, there's things like Schindler's List is one of the greatest movies of all time, but hell no, I'm never going to watch that thing again. No. Why am I going to put myself through that? Yeah. I pat myself on the back. I sat through it once. It was outstanding. It was great. Yeah. It was an incredible story. I learned a lot. That's it. I don't want to see it again. It's not like the Terminator 2, where if it's on TV, it will now be my 300th time watching.
Yeah, locked in. I get you.
Oh, man. Yep. Guys, any final thoughts before we pull the plug on this episode?
Oh, man. If you followed me on Twitter, you were a winner tonight. Memphis Grizzlies first quarter plus a half point. They won the first quarter by 10 points.
Man.
So I'm getting all my accolades on Twitter. People instant messaging me. Thanks for the winner.
You've been on a streak lately, Mr.
Dude. That's awesome.
I've been red hot the past 2. I've been selling a weekend pass because I'm too busy during the week to handicapping takes so much time. It's like, I got to crunch numbers. I got to look at everything. Then I look at my pick and I think I better look at this even more in depth of going at who's the pitcher or who's starting, for basketball, whatnot, and look at the umpires for baseball. And all this stuff, the pass between 2 hockey teams, and stuff. But my last weekend, it was 23-13.
Nice.
23-10. And then the weekend before was 24-14. So, man, you were like 47-24 if you're up 20-something units if you played my cards. There was a time when I was for hockey, I was like 30-2. It's like just unbelievable. Just I couldn't lose. So now it's still doing good.
When you're 30-2, when you're 30-2, man, after going like 15-1 or 15-2, I'm taking my money to the bank.
Cashing out.
It's always crazy too when people talk about that streak. I'm like, I would not have lasted nearly that long.
Me too. I would have been afraid.
That's the thing. I always watch like game shows like, oh, you could either go for the 50,000 or you could leave at 25. I'm like, I'm fucking taking that 25, dude. I would have left at 5,000 if I had the chance. Like, I'm not waiting that shit.
I'm so with you.
I haven't made a deposit in DraftKings since October, I think.
That's
nice.
The start
That's
of
awesome. Good for you.
Been on a nice hot streak. Keep building the bankroll up, and it's like Anthony always tells me, that's my partner I do the show with, and he always says it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Your bankroll management, that's super. Don't wager more than a certain small percentage of your bankroll.
Yeah.
So you're bet, and the fastest way, the fastest way to lose your bankroll is by doing crazy parlays. The fastest way to build your bankroll is straight wagering. Pick your games, whether it's 10 of them, and you might go 7-3 or 8-2 and 9-1. Or one weekend I went 10-1 for one of my cards for the weekend for one day. It was like 10-1, and I had one client who he was like, I lost money. I was like, dude, how the hell did you lose money? I was 10-1. You should be up 8 units minimum. He was like, well, I parlayed all your plays. I'm like, dude,
bad news.
You're asking me to go 11-0. I was 10-1. It's like, think about it, man. If you placed $100 on each one of those plays, you're up $900.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow,
I don't know. Some people, they don't know. They got to parlay everything because they don't like paying a little juice. And that's not how you're going to win, because the books love when you do like a parlays, because the more legs in your parlay, the more chance you're going to lose. One of them's going to fail.
I've learned that the hard way too.
Yeah, so did I. I love, especially during college basketball. I'm like, bam. I got 10 teams in here. I put $5. It's $500. So.
No, Matt says the teacher's going to have us all in the corner selling our asses.
Oh man,
I love it. Hey, by the way, Soiki's going to be in town, and he wants to know Lou Malnati's or Giordano's. I'm assuming both of you guys had each, right?
I've had Giordano's. I haven't had Lou's. Lou's is on my bucket list next time. I want to get to Portillo's, and I want to get to Lou's.
There you go. What about you,
So here's the thing. They're both good. It depends on what you like. I mean, Lou Malnati's has the butter crust. It's almost like
what Aldo put in there.
It's almost like a cookie crust,
Mm-hmm.
And these we're talking deep dish pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So you eat it more like a pie. It comes out like a triangle. You need a knife and fork. You're not like picking up like a slice or triangle, folding it like you're in New York or anything. So and then Lou Malnati's has got that butter crust, and then they've got a really kind of tangy, chunky tomato sauce, which I really like. And then Giordano's is a little bit different. It's more like a pie. It's more like a pie crust than that butter crust, like a cookie.
Right.
It's more like a pie crust. And then they have a really good like fillings and toppings with like nice vegetables and a more traditional pizza sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And when Lou Malnati does like their deep dish, it's like a disc of sausage.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath that, cheese and tomato sauce on top and stuff. So it's like, I like Lou's. I don't know why. I just kind of like the taste, but I also love Giordano's. We have one here in Des Moines, so it's really the only place
we were supposed to get one here in fucking Omaha years ago. They had a countrywide thing. It's like, I don't remember how you voted. You could vote, and whoever gets the most votes will build a Giordano's in that city, Omaha. They were in the city touring for locations, and they never heard anything. They actually got sick of me on Twitter because like every month or so, I'd be like, "So Giordano's, you coming to Omaha?" And literally, the last time they replied to me was something like, "We already told you. We're still scouting for locations." So they remembered me. I guess not bad enough, but they never ended up showing up.
To me, the best deep dish is Pequod's. I don't know if Aldo, do you know Pequod's pizza?
I've heard of that one.
Aldo?
It's very good.
I went there one time, man. They have like the caramelized cheese crust.
Mm-hmm.
It takes like the original owner of Pequod's, of course, sold it. And it was like the original one was in his house in Morton Grove. I don't know. Have you been to the Morton Grove one, Aldo?
I don't think so.
It's like his house, so like the dining room is like his big living room, And then there's like an extension onto the house where like the bathroom and the kitchen and a few extra tables are. That kind of slopes downward. You know, it's like if you're walking around there, it's this old house in Morgan Grove. But that's the original Pequod's. Excellent deep dish. I mean, like frickin' like blow your mind deep dish Chicago. And then he sold Pequod's. They opened like a fancy Pequod's on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park. And then he started his own called Bert's. That was the owner who, you know, and each one of his Bert's pizzas, you have to like call ahead. It's like a week in advance. And it's like, I don't know how much is one pizza is like $50 or $100. And he like hand makes it, you know, and then you come and pick it up and stuff. But I never got to have Bert's, but the original Pequod's, man, when I was younger, that was fucking killer. I used to live in Glenview.
Right. Let me recommend, Tooch, I'm betting that you have never had the oven pizza grinder on Clark Street.
I haven't had that one, but there used to be, what was the name of that place? Like Marchetti's oven grinders.
While you remember, take a look at these images from the oven pizza grinder. Again, it is in.
Wait, that's that dish. Yeah, what's the name of that place?
Oven pizza grinder.
Yeah, I have been there one time.
Yeah,
and it took forever to get in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's downstairs in a brownstone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to into the garden apartment and stuff. They gotta like, you know, one guy comes out and he remembers everybody. He's got like a photographic memory. You're next. You're next. He comes out and he finds you out of a fucking 100 people. He finds your group and he goes, "You come." Yeah, right. And then they bake that little thing in a bowl.
Yeah,
it's like
they bake it in a bowl.
Top. Yeah.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, sometimes there'll be like an entire mushroom in it, depending on what you get. But it
smells awesome in there too.
There's a mushroom.
Like, oh,
it is
right.
Hey, Aldo, is that Walter Payton's daughter?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that is Connie Payton. Yeah, not
doing
Connie,
like a culinary tour of Chicago.
Yes, she's been on
Brittany.
Yeah, Brittany. Yes, she's talented. She's very good at this show and a number of other things I've seen her.
Yeah.
She's great.
Wasn't she on Check Please too?
Yes, she was.
I think she was on Check Please.
Yeah, I think you're right. Anyway, oven pizza grinder. I would only suggest you go there if you've got some time, because as Tooch said, there is a long line. They have been they've stayed true to themselves. I think this is their only location, but it's an experience, and you're not rushed out of there. You order your pizza, you have some drinks and stuff. It's a really, really good time.
Cool.
Yeah.
It also takes forever to get your fucking pizza.
Yeah, I imagine.
Wait there forever, man. But it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait, definitely.
Look at that.
It's piping hot, though.
Oh, my gosh. It's so good. I want one right now.
It's the smell. The smell in that place is fucking amazing. You walk in there like, the aroma, Italian food, just on steroids.
Anyway, Aaron, anything you want to share with us before we pull the plug?
No, man. I appreciate you having me on. I love coming on and chatting with you guys. It's always a blast.
Well, it won't be the last. We'll be doing it again soon. And I just want to let people know that tomorrow's schedule is loaded. It all starts at 2 p.m. with Bar Down Hockey Talk. And you can bet that the Parisi brothers and Frank Mueller will also talk about the Bears draft to share their thoughts on it before they get to talking about the NHL playoffs. And if you are a casual fan of the NHL, this is the time that you've been waiting for, because NHL playoff hockey, Stanley Cup hockey is so exciting. I was watching one of the games the other night. It was so good. And so that's at 2 p.m. At what the hell do we have at? At 7 p.m. It's the Ross and Reed show. Excuse me, the Mac and Reed show. Their third or fourth episode. So they will be reviewing the draft in depth and talking about a little bit of Chicago sports. And I'm learning that these guys are hip hop aficionados. So they like to talk about what's going on in the hip hop scene. So that's an hour show that starts at 7 p.m. And then at 9 p.m., more science fiction talk. Cliff Victoria's maybe favorite show at the bar room. Cliff is in the chat room every week to hear the guys talk about Marvel movies and stuff. Cliff really appreciates the support of that show. So that's our schedule for tomorrow on Wednesday. And of course, you can find all of these shows here on the YouTube Barroom Network archives, and also most of them on our audio platforms, which you can find anywhere Just type in Barroom Network. You guys are the best. Tooch, Aaron, so great to have you with us today.
Thank you.
And for Dan Aguirre and myself, this is it. Dan and Aldo Bear Their Souls will be back next week. Take care, everybody.